Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I want to let you know that we are tracking a tornado warning that was just issued for Rutherford County, this in North Carolina, as we are watching this action move up from the south. Flood concerns, storm concerns, and as we mentioned, there's just enough wind energy in the atmosphere to get some of these storms to begin to rotate. This one over parts of Rutherford County. In fact, it's right along the Rutherford-Cleveland County line right now. Let's turn on live Super Doppler 4 HD and put it in alert mode right now, as we got it right there along the county line of Rutherford County and Cleveland County. The majority of the wind with this storm is right along the line. So if your travels take you east on Rutherford County into Ellenboro, we're watching this closely, as there is the potential that this is beginning to rotate right in here. So those of you watching in the mountains right now, and really anywhere across the upstate, you need to be aware that we do have the potential that any one of these storms could begin to rotate. And this warning right here is for Cleveland County and on the eastern tip of Rutherford County. But I got to tell you, this is mainly into Cleveland County here. This particular warning goes until 5 o'clock today, and this is one of a couple that we could get because the atmosphere, it's primed up. We've got a powerful low pressure back to our west. Let's put a storm track on this activity right here near Ellenboro in Rutherford County. And again, Highway 74, a popular thoroughfare right here from the mountains to Charlotte. If you got anybody traveling that direction, you need to let them know that this is a dangerous storm heading toward Kingston, Double Shoals, and Bellwood by 440. Need to watch this closely because this is one of a number of cells that could begin to rotate. This particular cell was located 6 miles west of Shelby, right over Latimer, moving northeast at about 30 miles per hour. So this would put it there in Bellwood at about 440. So watching that very closely right there as it moves on through. Some very strong winds in this area. Let's turn live Super Doppler 4 back on in this area. You can see what our radar product is showing. We've seen some of these hooks right in there, and there's that hook. The possibility that this is rotating in that area. Watching it closely. This is not the only storm that we're seeing. We've got more strong storms across the area, but right here across Boiling Springs in North Carolina, not South Carolina, just south of Latimer right here, right along Highway 74. This area primed up for the potential of an active tornado right now. This is possible near Swainsville, moving through Boiling Springs, and Griffin drawing on that rotation right in here as we're seeing that inflow right there and the potential that this could be. Let's check our debris field, see if we're seeing anything popping up that possibly could reflect any kind of damage. Not seeing any signals of that at the moment. We'll need to watch some of this closely here, but nonetheless, some very strong winds right there along the Rutherford County, Cleveland County line as it pushes up toward the north and east. Let's give you a big picture look right now. If you're watching us in Greenville, in Anderson, Greenwood, Spartanburg, this is a very active dynamic storm system. Thankful to have our very own live Super Doppler 4 on the case with this, because we've got multiple storms moving in from the south and west. Some breaks in the storms do nothing but really kind of prime up the atmosphere. You get a little bit of sunshine, that too can lead to some dangerous conditions. But right in here, this activity is very strong. So we do have a flood threat. We do have a severe storm threat. And the flood threat, honestly, is only going to be made worse due to the extra rain that's moving into these areas. We watched a cell move out of Abbeville County into Anderson and Greenville County that produced about 2 to 3 inches of rain in 1 hour. Right here in eastern and southern Anderson County, that cell pushed into Greenville County, and with Greenville being an urban area, it just couldn't handle all the water that we had in those locations. So really some street flooding certainly became an issue very quickly there in Greenville. So we need to watch that. The old adage is don't turn around, don't drown. We need to watch that. Lounsville up through the north, we've got 2 to 3 inches of rain in a short period of time. And then where there's active flooding right now, we just checked the river gauges there in southern Haywood, southern Jackson County, and western North Carolina. This area has had almost 5 inches of rain in 24 hours. So southern Jackson, Transylvania, and northern Oconee County, this is another hot spot of areas that are already seeing active flooding, and with more rain on the way, that could cause more problems. Let's get back to the storm that sits over Rutherford County that is an active tornado warning. You're seeing the crawl at the top of your screen, wondering about your town. Right now, the primary threat lies across Cleveland County. It's this squiggle, if you will, non-meteorological term, but there you go. We've got it across the county line right there, just northwest of Shelby, just east of Rutherfordton. It does lie on the eastern fringe of our viewing area, which is our commitment to you to keep you posted in situations like that. Should we have dangerous weather, you can count on us to be right there on top of it for you. Right there is where that rotation is going, and as we watch this moving up toward the north and east, we've got a brand new tornado warning that does now include Spartanburg and Cherokee County. I should say just Cherokee County. It's right there on the outskirts of Spartanburg County. So Gaffney, you need to be getting to your safe place right now. We do have an active tornado warning from this cell right here, right along I-85. A separate tornado warning now for, should say Cherokee County near Gaffney, right along the I-85 corridor. This particular cell sits about Gaffney, right on top of Gaffney, basically western sides of Gaffney, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. Let's look at our live Super Doppler product. We can see that hook right in there. We'll give you a storm track right there. It is co-located with a lot of lightning, but that notch right in there indicates where we're seeing the potential that this storm is trying to wrap up and begin to rotate. So 2 active tornado warnings right now, one in Cherokee County, South Carolina, one in Rutherford County, North Carolina. This particular warning does go until 5 o'clock right here. We've got this active rotation showing up just north and east of Cowpens, just west of Gaffney. We'll put a storm track on this because right there is where that wind is the strongest, the potential that it's rotating right in here, and it's moving quickly up toward the north and east. So a latest storm track here, as the storm's moving at about 30 miles per hour, would put this in Grassy Pond and then Earl at about 444. So western parts of Gaffney, you're hearing the sirens going off. Your phones are blaring right now with the emergency alert. You need to be seeking shelter. And what does that mean for you? Well, it's 420. You're probably still at work watching us right now on the web or on Facebook or on your TV there at work, or if you're at home, just put as many walls between you and the outside of your building as you can. That's the safest place you can do, away from windows. If you have folks that could be traveling in this activity, you need to urge them just to stay put in Cherokee County. I-85, of course, a very busy corridor, especially on an afternoon and evening like this. This warning goes until 5 o'clock, and right now that active rotation sits right there along the I-85 corridor in western Cherokee County, just east of Spartanburg County right there. This one of 2 warnings that we're tracking, and the most concerning at the moment here because it's right there in a very populated area of Gaffney, Cherokee County, pushing up toward the north and west at about 30 miles per hour. So there's Cowpens, there's Highway 110, there's Gaffney. We need to be watching this very, very closely here. Griffin, if we can, let's take a look at our Spartanburg skycam. Just kind of take a gauge of the area right now because we've seen some breaks in the clouds from time to time. And here is Spartanburg looking from Wofford. Not a whole lot of clearing, but we can basically see in this area, we do have enough filtered sunshine that's really baking up the atmosphere. We are really, really warm, really unstable. Our dew points are super high right now, which is allowing for us to be very unstable. Plenty of fuel to work with these storms and just the right amount of wind energy with a low pressure to our west to get these storms to begin to rotate. And right there is where the strongest winds are and the potential that we have some rotation just northeast of Cowpens and just west of Gaffney, which would put it right across the I-85 corridor right in there. So we need to watch this closely. Highway 11 up through Grassy Pond as this is moving toward the north and east. Let's put a close-in storm track on this activity as it sits right there across I-85. We'll get a new scan from Live Super Doppler 4 in just a moment that'll give us kind of an idea of where this is heading. But Grassy Pond 432 as we're watching this very, very closely here. And flooding, another big concern because we've seen several inches of rain. A newly issued flash flood warning now includes Henderson County and Greenville County as we're getting a lot of rain in a short period of time right in here. So a lot going on. Big picture as you're watching us in Greenville and Anderson and Abbeville, we're watching the tornado threat certainly for you as well. But it's kind of a double-pronged threat. Flash flooding and tornadoes, as Griffin puts on our active alerts. There is now a new flash flood warning for Greenville County, Henderson County, where you've got the French Broad River going into parts of Highway 64 right there, a typical trouble spot. But this warning, flash flood warning, goes until 8 o'clock for Greenville. So active flooding underway right now across the Greenville area, very urban area with lots of concrete. You know, when we get this much rain in a short period of time, the creeks and streams just can't keep up. They are spilling their banks in these areas. So that's a threat as we've had 3 to 5 inches of rain in Greenville County in a short period of time with more on the way, I should add. And then the French Broad, a typical trouble spot right here in 64, leaving Hendersonville toward Brevard. We've got active flooding in this area. Creeks and streams are spilling their banks, and you see the terrain up here. The mountains just basically funneling that water down. But we do have an active tornado threat that sits right now over parts of Cherokee County and then another one in Rutherford County. You see 2 tornado warning boxes here for the rotation out of this storm and then this storm in Shelby, Cleveland County that's just east of Rutherford County. And let's look at the velocities right here because we still have this rotation that's showing up right here, and the possibility that this could begin to give us a possible tornado. Let's check our debris field, see if we're getting any debris out of this, which would indicate that damage is ongoing, not getting a signature right back to us that indicates anything off the chart. So that's certainly good news. But based on what the radar is showing us, there is the possibility that a rotating thunderstorm could drop down a tornado in this area, right there in northern Cherokee County. Now, the National Weather Service just trimming up or kind of issuing this warning here across parts of Cleveland County, Rutherford County, as that line sits right there. And there's that rotation there across Cleveland County, an active rotating thunderstorm right there that could possibly be a tornado in that area, pushing up toward the north and west, just west of Shelby. So 2 active tornadoes possibly on the ground here, one in Cherokee County, South Carolina, the other in Cleveland County, North Carolina. Both are pushing up toward the north and east. And it's very possible that this storm to the south impacts some of the same areas that are impacted by this tornado warning. They're offset by maybe 5 to 10 miles parallel to each other. So watching both of these, let's put this in motion and kind of see the general trajectory of it. There's that rotation, which does indeed look like it's intensifying just a bit there across Cleveland County in North Carolina, just east of Rutherford County. There's Gaffney, there's Shelby, there's Ellenboro, there's Rutherford County, there's Chesney. Okay, Chesney just recovering and rebuilding after some of the damage from the tornado on Monday. This is east of you. You're not under the warning right here. This is primarily Cherokee County pushing north into parts of Cleveland County. So we're going to watch this closely. This particular warning for Cherokee County, South Carolina, near Gaffney, goes until 5 o'clock. Live Super Doppler 4 gives us that instant look at where the storms and the rotation are, so we can get street level and be able to show you what's going on. This does look concerning across Cleveland County, North Carolina. That's pushing up toward the north. I feel more comfortable about Rutherford County, but watching this down toward the south, this cell in Cherokee County, north and west of Gaffney, that is the most concerning storm in our viewing area right now. Those of you that are watching us on television, there's where that potential hook is and where the rotation is, right in there. So watching it along Highway 85, pushing up toward the north, there's a strong wind signature right in here. So anywhere basically northwest of Gaffney, we could get a touchdown from a quick tornado. And that's what these situations are. In these almost tropical-like environment, you can get these cells that cycle. They get strong and then they go back up. But as Griffin zooms in right here, we got Highway 11, there's Ruth Drive, there's Farmington Road. Right there along Highway 11 is where we've got some strong wind signatures. And if there is going to be a touchdown from a tornado in this area, it would be located right there along Highway 11 in Cherokee County, moving up toward the north. So there's Grassy Pond Road in the path of this. National Highway right there, Cherokee National Highway, I should say. There's Clubhouse Road. There's Twin Bridge Road connecting up toward Highway 150. So these areas kind of in the path of what's the most vulnerable area of some rotation right now that we're seeing off of Live Super Doppler 4 in northwestern Cherokee County. Right in here would be where there could be a potential tornado. It's just north of the I-85 corridor, heading toward the Highway 11 corridor, and then moving up toward the north and east. So Grassy Pond, you need to be seeking shelter right now in northern Cherokee County, north of Highway 11. Fresh storm track here puts it in Grassy Pond at about 4:33 right there. And we're watching this as it moves on through the area. And Griffin, if we'll do kind of a line track, we'll get some points of interest in here, be able to kind of show you on Highway 11 where we're maybe kind of seeing some of this activity move on through. That'll give us an idea of some hospitals, some churches that might be in the path of this there in Grassy Pond and northern Cherokee County right here. This moving 5 miles north of Gaffney at about 30 miles per hour, the new issuance from the National Weather Service right there. But there's the signature that we're watching that's oh so concerning along Highway 11. Just north of Highway I-85, I should say, moving up toward the north very quickly. Heavy rainfall surrounding this right now, and flooding, honestly, a concern that we need to watch closely in this area. An active tornado warning for Cherokee County. Need to watch this closely here as this activity is pushing up toward the north and west at about 30 miles per hour. So seek shelter right now. Get to the innermost part of your home, your workplace right now in Cherokee County. Grassy Pond, just north of Gaffney. Now, Gaffney proper, western parts of downtown Gaffney even, you're very close to this activity. This warning goes until 5 o'clock, and it's approaching the North Carolina state line right here from South Carolina. Again, there's Gaffney, there's that rotation just north of the I-85 corridor, pushing up through Highway 11 toward Grassy Pond in these areas. So you need to seek shelter, folks, and this is one of those evenings where, honestly, some of this activity could get stronger as we go throughout the day. Big picture, we've got a strong low pressure back toward the west, and any number of one of these cells cells could turn tornadic. Flooding also a big concern. A newly issued flash flood warning in effect for Greenville County, Transylvania, and Henderson County. Need to watch that closely as these areas are seeing repeated rain, what we call training, storm after storm, and that gives us the potential of active flooding in these areas. So just a big picture here, we've got a tornado warning in effect for Cherokee County, South Carolina, and a couple areas that are flaring up. There's one right there in Cleveland County. Very possible a tornado there in Cleveland County. Let's look at the debris on that one, see if we've got anything showing up there, as there's some pretty strong rotation. Yep, that could be a tornado. Got a debris signature right there, I'd say, just west of Double Shoals. And again, this just east of Rutherford County. It appears a tornado could be doing some damage right there north of Shelby. Cleveland County in the Charlotte viewing area. Many of you watching us still, you can get us via an antenna there in Shelby. Looks like there's a tornado right there on 226 near Double Shoals. That moving toward Bellwood, northwest of Shelby. And it's moving northeast at about 30 miles per hour. So there's Polkville, there's Kingston. If you know anybody in Cleveland County, just east of Rutherfordton, very possible that we do have a tornado on the ground. And just getting some word here from some storm spotters there in Cleveland near Latimer. Power poles and trees reported down, and that would be indicated by that debris signature that we see here. So it looks like a tornado is on the ground in Cleveland County, North Carolina, just outside of Rutherford County, just on the outskirts of our viewing area. But I want to tell you and show you that because we do have a warning in Cherokee County, South Carolina. Now, to be honest with you, the storm that this one is right here did not look as impressive, say 30 minutes ago. Now we're getting that hook, we're getting that rotation right there. That looks to be an active tornado on the ground in Cleveland County. I tell you that because this cell, while not overly impressive right now, could flare up. And that's what happens with these type cells is they cycle. They go back down a little bit weaker, then they flare back up depending upon the environment that it's in. But it does appear that we've got an active tornado on the ground just north and west of Shelby in Cleveland County. That's just east of Rutherford County. You are included in that warning. However, that tornado does appear to be on the ground in western Cleveland County, not Rutherford County, okay? But it's right there very close to the county line. So we want you to be aware in Rutherford County that this could kind of filter back in. And I want to let you know downstream here, Griffin, I think this does clip northern, or I should say southern McDowell County right here, or it could be Burke County. Yep, it's Burke County. So southern Morganton, going up toward Catawba County there near Hickory, approaching the I-40 corridor. This is an active tornado on the ground there in Cleveland County. New scan coming through. Let's look at that cell there in Cherokee County. An active tornado warning in Cherokee County near Gaffney on the I-85 corridor goes until 5 o'clock. The rotation in this, we're watching it closely here near Highway 11. In these areas, as we see this storm push up toward the north and east at about 30 miles per hour. The original warning that we had across Rutherford and Cleveland County, looking more impressive and strong, and likely a tornado on the ground in that area. Watching this right here across parts of Shelby, down toward Gaffney, getting some strong signatures here of some strong winds, and we need to watch this area very closely as this is a primed up area with very warm, muggy conditions across the area. Live Super Doppler 4 tracking it here for us across this area. There's Gaffney, north toward Boiling Springs. That's where the first warning started. We need to watch this in Cherokee County, especially the northwestern part near Grassy Pond, moving up toward the north and east. And some other cells that we need to watch closely because that's where they start. They start off as a weaker cell, and then as they get on through, they can grow into some stronger storms. So getting a new issuance of a flash flood warning for Anderson County. So this is a two-pronged threat. We've got flooding and we've got tornado threats across the area. Getting word here that we've had so much rain in Anderson County, including Greenville County. This area has seen repeated thunderstorms and rain to the point that 3 to 5 inches has come down in just about 2 hours, that we do have active flooding. The old adage is turn around, don't drown. Majority of people that need to be rescued from flooding drive into the water. Don't do that. Turn around. Don't put yourself or first responders in that kind of situation. Flash flood warning here for Anderson County, newly issued, goes until 8 o'clock right here. So this area, as we turn on Live Super Doppler 4, continues to see more rain and likely will see more rain spill in from the south as we go throughout the evening hours here with multiple rounds of rain and storms. And here comes another one here. So yes, we do have a tornado warning, and it looks like a confirmed tornado in Cleveland County, North Carolina, just northwest of Shelby. It looks like we've got some damage reports coming in that co-locate with where our live Super Doppler 4 is indicating some debris reflecting back toward the radar. It's not rain, it's not hail, it just sends it back to us as a different signature. And there's another cell we need to watch. Multiple ones of these cells here in this environment could begin to rotate. 2 tornado warnings in effect right now from this cell right there and this one up toward the north. All of these are rotating to some degree, and with this type environment, in a tropical environment, we could see flooding, or we could see these rotate up and become something severe in a matter of just a few moments. So looking at this closely here across Cherokee County, you need to be seeking shelter in these areas of Grassy Pond, parts of Cleveland County. This goes toward Mike's Creek Baptist Church, Camp Creek Baptist Church, and then Faith Baptist Church. Look a little bit closer in right here. You can see this activity and turning on velocity. Got that flare up right there along the Cherokee Cleveland County line, and that would put it into Cleveland County yet again, and some strong signatures of a tornado up here toward the north. And unfortunately, this does look like it is or has been a tornado producing storm. I'll back up our debris product here, and you can see along Highway 74 just a few moments ago near Latimer, it does appear that a tornado touched down and did some damage for a period of time from Latimer up toward Duncan's Creek just west of Double Shoals right there. I show you that because as we watch the storm that's in Gaffney and Cherokee County, just north of the I-85 corridor, this area is rotating as well. Grassy Pond up toward the north. Gaffney, you're out of the warning at this point. It was just redrawn. However, I'm watching this cell just to the south of you, and it's very possible that this is going to begin to rotate even more. And this is not a warned storm, but I gotta tell you, I don't like the looks of this. You got an inflow notch right there, and you got the possibility that this is a storm that is beginning to rotate at its infancy. You got the green that's going toward our radar site off of I-85, and you got the red going away from our radar site. So right there in that area, we need to watch it closely because this is some rotation. So there's not an active warning on this right now, but I do want you to know that I'm watching a separate storm here across southern Cherokee County that's moving up toward the north and east, and within say 20 minutes it'll be in Ashbury, Draytonville, East Junior High School, and Cherokee Falls at 4:52. So please know that this is not a warned storm yet. However, I'm watching it closely because it has a signature that tells me this could become something we need to watch out for here in the near term. Lawrence County, Greenwood County, Calhoun Falls, back through Anderson, just some heavy rainfall right now. But on the outer edge, some of this area that has not been touched by the consistent steady rain from earlier is beginning to show some signs of rotation. So as we look ahead at the activity going on right now across parts of Greenville County, parts of Anderson County, it's the rain that's been such an issue as we move on through the area right here. This is some issues that we have. It's a two-pronged threat. We've got flooding and we've got rotating thunderstorms here as we move on through the area. Active flash flooding in Greenville, Anderson, parts of Transylvania, southern Jackson County. And as we move forward in time, this is going to continue to be a threat that we need to watch very closely in these areas. As we look at the 2 storms that are rotating across the area in parts of Cherokee County and parts of Cleveland County, North Carolina, these are producing what we call rotating thunderstorms. As we look at the cells that are actively rotating right now, there are 2 that are rotating intense enough to give us a tornado warning. One has given me signatures that it is possibly a tornado on the ground just northwest of Double Shoals there in Cleveland County, just northwest of Shelby. Very likely we had a tornado touch down for a period of time. And then we've got some rotation that sits right along the Cherokee County, Cleveland County line, right along the state line there, just north of Grassy Pond. So if your travels take you north along Highway 150, this area does show some signs of rotating north of Gaffney right here. And then farther south It's not intense rotation, it's not strong, but it has my eye and my attention east of Packlet in Spartanburg County, west of Ashbury and Cherokee County. We do have some rotation out of this. I want to tell you that it's not an active warning, it's not over-the-top rotation, but Goucher, parts of Goucher Elementary School and then Goucher Baptist Church, within the next 10-15 minutes, this strong storm will be over you, and it's part of a line that honestly needs to be watched very closely in this area because it's part of a volatile area, a volatile air mass. As temperatures in this area in the mid to upper 70s. So just to recap here, as we go back to the chroma key here, guys, upstairs, we've got 2 active tornado warnings for Cleveland County, for Cherokee County in South Carolina, and this is a double threat. We have flooding as a threat, we have tornadoes as a threat, rotating thunderstorms in these areas, and that's what we need to watch out for. And if you're watching us right now in Greenville County, we've got the threat that's moving on through the area of active flooding. 3 to 5 inches of rain has come down in a short period of time, just about 2 hours. And then you go back toward Cherokee County, southern Cherokee County up toward the north. This area is rotating. I want to watch that storm right there. That could very well become another warning. It bears watching. This one across the northern parts of Cherokee County going into Cleveland County, that one does not look to be as strong as it once was. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to watch this one carefully leave the area. So heads up Shelby in Cleveland County. For travels take you along Highway 74, just hold tight. Let that one go on through because that one needs to be watched. And watching this one up here toward Cleveland County, National Weather Service continuing this one until 5 o'clock because this has given us multiple signs that a tornado has touched down at least once or twice and reflected back the possibility of some damage in those locations. And then along the Cherokee County line, pushing up toward the north and east near Shelby, that area too is rotating. South of Gaffney into parts of Cherokee County, we need to watch this activity right here as it's rotating in a strong way southwest of Gaffney, just due west of Surratt right here. Let's turn on our velocity product. We'll be able to see inside the storm. Basically, our way of X-raying what's going on across the area right here. And I'm not seeing over-the-top type rotation. That one is right there to some degree. And then farther south of Gaffney, watching this cell near Surratt that is showing some signs that it could begin to rotate just north of Jonesville, right along the Union and Cherokee County lines right there. So watching that activity, not a warning on it yet, but I do want to give you guys a heads up in Gaffney that it's a storm I'm watching closely. It's a dangerous storm. It's got some rotation with it, and it's got that look right here just south of Gaffney, kind of paralleling by about 10 miles that other warned storm that we had across northern Cherokee County. So big picture right now, what we're seeing across the upstate is a two-pronged threat. We've got active flash flooding ongoing from the 3 to 5 inches of rain that's already come down across Greenville County and the 3 to 5 inches of rain that's fallen in Anderson County, both of which have given us flash flood warnings from Anderson to Greenville. The good news here for Cherokee County, for at least the moment, you are not included in a tornado warning. The National Weather Service trimming back that warning in Cherokee County. So right now the threats lie across eastern Rutherford County and parts of Cherokee, or I should say Cleveland County, North Carolina. As we watch this activity east of Rutherford, and we'll zoom up here to this and show you what's going on here across eastern Rutherford County, southwest of Shelby. Right there appears to still be some rotation. As we look at the two, this is where I've seen a tornado touch down from time to time, giving us reflectivity back to the radar, giving us damage reports there near Bellwood. This east of Rutherfordton, there's Shelby. That same area is kind of moving up like this. So I'm comfortable with the threat here across Rutherford County for now. You do not appear to be under the gun for a tornado. However, this activity pushing up toward the east in Lincoln County, heading toward Catawba County along the I-40 corridor, does show signs of rotating. Let's push farther south and check on that storm in parts of Cherokee County, South Carolina, near Gaffney Point southbound. Watching this activity as it moves on through very quickly. Right there is Gaffney. There's that cell that still is beginning to rotate here to some degree. It's in the middle layer parts of the atmosphere. I don't see low-level rotation or strong rotation out of this at the moment, but honestly, this is where those other storms have begun. They start out like this at its infancy, and then they begin to grow at intensity and can begin to tap into some of that wind energy that's in the atmosphere. Let's take a surveillance right now of our velocity and see what's going on out of this cell in Gaffney, kind of our way of X-raying it. Some degree of rotation in this area, not over the top. top, but it's a storm near 150 and Highway 18 that we need to watch right there as it pushes on through the area. So to recap, we do have a tornado warning until 5 o'clock for parts of Rutherford County in North Carolina. And this warning that was across Cherokee County has since been allowed to expire right here. And big picture, we've got more waves of rain and storms moving through the area. The active tornado warnings right here across Rutherford and Cherokee County, I should say Cherokee County's canceled. Now it's Cleveland County. So Rutherford and Cleveland County moving up toward the foothills of North Carolina. But there are more storms to the south and west. And look at this rain coming back into Greenville and Anderson. You don't need another drop of rain. You've already got creeks and streams that are spilling their banks with active flooding, but more is on the way. Look at this swath in the area I'm most concerned about, from Abbeville to Anderson to southern Greenville County. This area, the yellow would indicate 2 inches of rain. The orange would indicate 3+ inches of rain. The red approaches 5 inches. This would be 24-hour rain totals, but I can tell you this has come down in the past 2 hours. So that's why we do have an active flash flood warning for Greenville, Anderson counties, and this is going to continue to unfortunately get worse because we see this activity continue to see more rain pushing into these areas of Anderson and Greenville County. So turn around, don't drown, don't drive through any standing water. If you see standing water, floodwaters, you don't know if the road's washed out beneath you, you need to turn around and not go through that activity. So please be safe in those type situations. Cleveland County Sheriff's Department indicating some rotation in that storm cloud, that we did see the possibility of some damage in western Cleveland County. That would be just east of Rutherford County. So getting multiple ground truth reports out of this activity as we saw that rotation really strengthen up in that area. But we need to watch this cell right here. In Cherokee County, there's not a warning on it, but it's the most concerning cell that we have in our viewing area at the moment right here as it is beginning to rotate. So part of 3 little mini supercells by themselves off out ahead of this area that's not been worked over from the consistent rain that we've had in western areas like Greenville. Not to say you can't get severe weather, certainly possible. Our whole area could as we go into the afternoon and evening hours. However, this area that is a little more primed up because of the lack of clouds and some sunshine peeking through today. Looking at our debris field, Griffin pulls this up. We did have some debris signatures up toward Cleveland County with the potential of a tornado that did touch down just west of Shelby right there. And boy, it was close to Rutherford County, east of Ellenboro right there as it kind of spun up right there and moved up toward Bellwood. That active rotating thunderstorm is now pushing out of Cleveland County and moving toward Catawba County. So this active warning for Rutherford County, it's almost to the point where we can let you know in Rutherford County that your threat is over with. However, we do see multiple cells to the south that need to be watched. That one in Chesney's just some rain. That just entering Gaffney right now is some rain, but there's a signature of some heavier downpours and maybe even some pea-sized hail in Gaffney. And this cell right here does show some signs that it is rotating to some degree. We need to watch it. These showers that begin to grow and get into thunderstorms can begin to rotate, and it appears that we are getting a new tornado warning. Is that right here until 5:30 for Cleveland and does include Cherokee County? Yep, they just put a warning on this cell that we were warning you about. In southern Cherokee County right there. It is wrapping up enough to tell us that, hey, this is a thunderstorm that could be rotating, and that was enough for it right there. Yep, new tornado warning for Cherokee County. This is a separate one, so if your phones are going off in Gaffney and Blacksburg, we need to let you know that, yep, there is a threat that does bear watching, an active tornado warning. This a new one, a separate one for Gaffney. This on the southern side of town for southern Gaffney, moving toward the north and east at about 30 miles per hour. So heads up Blacksburg, heads up points north into North Carolina. A separate storm is now beginning to rotate. There's our hail core. There's where the storm is rotating. If there's a tornado, it'd be located in this area. Let's turn on our velocity to be able to track where that rotation is on live Super Doppler 4. Very closely, we'll be able to map this out street by street and show you where this threat is. There's where the rotation lies right now, just south of Gaffney. If you're watching in Gaffney, Draytonville, Blacksburg, you need to be seeking shelter. What that means if you're at work, stay put. Do not go home. If you're at school or any kind of after-school activities, or maybe you're at home, put as many walls between you and the outside of the house. Stay away from windows. This rotation lies right there south of Gaffney along Highway 18, and it is heading toward Draytonville. So let's give you a couple of storm tracks. We'll do a wide one right here, kind of hit some towns along the way, and then we'll get in closer and do some points of interest here for you. So there's where the rotation is, where we possibly see a tornado out of this activity, near Draytonville at about 4:54, East Gaffney at 4:57, and then Blacksburg at about 5:07. These areas need to be seeking shelter. This moving towards you within the next 20 minutes. That rotation sits right there south of Gaffney, and zooming in a bit, we can show you where we're watching this. East of Highway 18. Live Super Doppler 4 gives us the ability to show you where this is street level by street level. Brickhouse Road, Childers Road, Plantation Drive. These areas could have a tornado with some strong winds on them heading toward Ballinger Drive, Chestnut Pond Road heading up toward Highway 105. So anywhere along Highway 105 in Draytonville, seek shelter now. This rotation is heading towards you at the moment, and it's pushing up toward the north and east. There's Killian Drive, there's Draytonville Road, just east of Gaffney. There's downtown Gaffney, so basically think anywhere between Gaffney and Draytonville, we could have a tornado moving through your area right now. So please seek shelter in these areas. That rotation tightening up. There's Anthony Street, there's Gaffney, there's Draytonville. Toward the south is where that rotation lies, right there. So there's the inflow. There you got the wind going away from our radar, the wind going toward our radar, and the possible tornado lies right there along Highway 18 right now, heading up toward the north. Right on for Draytonville, right on for Cherokee Falls. This area pushing up toward the north and east at about 30 miles per hour. So let's give you a storm track. We'll do a line track right here, Griffin, if we can, and kind of get in closer for some of these areas. Hospitals, churches that are in the path of this in Draytonville, just east of Goucher right here. There's Gaffney, points southbound. There's our hail court, tells us this storm is strengthening right here. We're going to need to watch this activity as it pushes up toward the north and east, heading toward Draytonville at the moment right now. So Draytonville Baptist Church, Faith Baptist Church, some points of interest. If you live near any one of those, you need to be seeking shelter within the next 8 to 10 minutes. That's going to be moving your way. Let's check out our debris field, see if we're getting any damage reports out of this. You know, our debris field is a tool that we use that kind of lets us see inside the storm to let us know if it's reflecting back anything right here. And Griffin, we're watching that. We saw a really clear signature there in Cleveland County. Not sure if we're seeing much out of Gaffney here toward Draytonville, but it's worth watching as this area is beginning to rotate just a bit more.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, we did see a really pronounced signature with that storm up in Cleveland County. I would say that debris signature that we're looking at there, it's a little bit noisy, but normally those are the colors that you look for whenever you're looking for a TDS, what's called a tornado debris signature. And if we are seeing anything right now, it is just across on the east side of Highway 18, State Highway 18, and south of Draytonville, approaching Draytonville right now. It's kind of along that northeast track where we're seeing that best indication of rotation. Just based on the reflectivity alone, you can see we've got a really well-defined hook echo. It's right there on the bottom part of the screen, right there. You've got inflow going in from the eastern part of the storm, and then you've got your rear flank downdraft on the back side of that, on the southern side. Again, just on the reflectivity alone, pretty, you got a low top supercell here. So the rain is coming down really hard in Gaffney right now. It's about to start raining even harder. We may even have a little bit of a hail core there that's coming up on Gaffney. But that's obviously not something you want to drive through. But the most dangerous part of the storm is a little bit further south of that. So you've got this area of rotation here that is, we'll zoom in a little bit tighter on that, right on top of Corinth Road. You've got it on top of Ardell Estate Road, Roberts Farm Road, right in that general vicinity, right as you're driving south down Highway 18 in Cherokee County, south of Gaffney there. That's where we've got that best area of radar indicated rotation at the moment. Now, looking at this from a bigger perspective, it's still not as strong as that rotation we saw further north up in Cleveland County. But there is enough of an indication there that you need to seek shelter, especially if you're in Draytonville right now. Anybody who lives along State Highway 105, you're in the path of this. So you want to take this seriously. Move to an interior room away from doors and windows. This could be a tornado. It's still radar indicated rotation. Still don't have quite enough of a confirmation that this is down based on the velocity data, but we've got a hook echo, we've got radar indicated rotation. Chris, they definitely need to take the storm seriously in Cherokee County.
Yeah, and it's one of those situations where the storm that we saw leave Cherokee County and move up toward the north. We're getting reports here that I just checked on from Cleveland County, getting those reports to come on in that there is indeed some damage where we did see that possible tornado touchdown. So that indicates to me that though this storm is rotating right now, to some degree that it can flare up intense within just minutes. So that's what these cells do. They cycle. They go down in intensity, then back up in intensity. And right there, as we get a new scan in telling us that Gaffney and then Draytonville, the most dangerous part of the storm, right there. Let's check on our new velocity scan that just came on in. Still some degree of rotation right there along Highway 18. Looks like it's just a jog south of you guys in Gaffney. And again, Draytonville continues to be the area that we're watching here in Cherokee County that could have the potential of a tornado heading towards you in Cherokee Falls, Blacksburg. And again, we've got noisy debris fields here, which doesn't necessarily indicate that there's damage in this area, possibly reflected back some of that hail out of that hail core right there. So we're going to be watching that closely, as we did see a clear defined debris signature out of the storm in Chesney earlier this week, and then just one in Cleveland County. Very likely a tornado touchdown and was on the ground for a couple of miles there west of Shelby. Then it lifted back up where it appears to be strengthening now north and west toward the Hickory area in North Carolina along I-40. But right now, the storm that's the most dangerous across the upstate, we're in Cherokee County near Gaffney, southeast of Gaffney. That's where the active tornado warning goes until 5:30 here. And we do have a lot of heavy rainfall in these areas of Lawrence, Greenwood, Abbeville County. It's a double-pronged threat today, folks. And I can't tell you enough, if you're trying to get home from work or trying to go to and from, you need to not drive through any standing water. We have active flooding and intense flooding in parts of Greenville and in Anderson County. If you're seeing that and can safely send us a picture or a video, please do to our Facebook or our news tips part of the website. We want to be able to see what's going on out there. Our crews are safely taking precautions to see what's going on, but we've got just torrential rain. The rain is coming down inches per hour, and this part of Anderson and Greenville County, this is a 24-hour rainfall total, but as we put this on, we can tell you that this was over the past 2 hours. East of Belton, we're approaching 5 inches of rain in 2 hours. My general rule of thumb for this area, anything more than 4 inches of rain in 24 hours will give us flooding. We've got that in 2 hours here across Greenville and Anderson County. Look at that, 5.8 inches possible just south and east of Belton right there. This pushing up toward the north and east. So again, it's a tornado threat, yes, but it's also a significant flash flooding threat. Please do not be driving through any standing water, because this rain is coming down heavy in areas that don't need another drop. We have had significant amounts of rain in these areas, and embedded in these rain cells could be some rotation. I wouldn't be surprised out of some of this activity. You got a little cell right there that's giving a little bit of a signature heading toward Ware Shoals. Any number of these could begin to rotate. We have wind energy in the atmosphere with a powerful low pressure to our west and enough instability. We're plenty unstable across the area that as these storms grow in intensity, they can tap into that wind energy in the upper parts of the atmosphere. So looking at the threats, flooding is a threat and a tornado is a threat here across particularly Cherokee County, south of Gaffney right there. There's our hail core heading toward Gaffney. Certainly a situation you don't want to be in, but the most concerning part is there in southeastern Gaffney heading toward Draytonville. This warning in Cherokee County goes until 5:30 and is pushing quickly up toward Cleveland County. We've had 3 warnings here, kind of one right here, and another one right there. So they've been just southeast of each other by about 10 miles or so. So you're getting repeated warnings in this area, and when those type situations happen, you get it on your phone, you think, it's probably just the same one we already know about. Well, no, this is a separate one. We've had 2 separate storms warned on there in Cherokee County, and this one is heading toward southeastern Gaffney, heads up Blacksburg, heads up Draytonville. You are in the path of this as it moves on through. So getting more reports out of Cleveland County of either damage or funnel clouds, possible tornado on the ground west of Shelby. This is a dangerous situation here in the foothills. And as we get into parts of Cherokee County where the air is very volatile, we've got plenty of wind energy in the atmosphere and way high amounts of instability. There's where the rotation sits right now across Highway 105. Live Super Doppler 4 giving us that instant look at where the storms are rotating, where we could begin to see a possible tornado touchdown. And folks, I can't stress it enough. These storms will cycle up very quickly. We saw that Monday. Within 1 to 2 minutes, a storm can go from just a funnel cloud to a tornado on the ground. And that happens. And just as quickly as it lifts back up, it can touch back down again. These tropical type environments will do that. So Blacksburg, you need to be seeking shelter right now. Gaffney points eastbound through Cherokee Falls. This area is in the path. Let's give you a fresh storm track on it right in here, as this area is vulnerable to it as it moves on toward the north and east at about 30 miles per hour. So seek shelter in these areas of Gaffney, Cherokee Falls, and Blacksburg. This storm is pushing toward Draytonville at 5:02, Cherokee Falls at 5:06, Blacksburg by about 5:14, and then Blacksburg Elementary School at about 5:14. So within the next 15-20 minutes, Blacksburg, eastern Cherokee County, you could go under a tornado warning, as this area is under the gun now for some rotation and the possibility of a tornado in Cherokee County. Big picture, you're watching us right now in Greenville, Greenwood, Abbeville County. Need to watch this closely here as we're watching this as we move on through the area here, all the way through the upstate into western North Carolina. Need to watch this closely here as this area is just primed up. We've got the instability. I mean, it's a very tropical environment. You step outside, it feels like you're at the beach, right? Very, very muggy. So we got that instability in the air right now. We need to watch it closely. National Weather Service kind of redoing some of their warnings over here. We'll get an update here in just a moment on the Cherokee side of this, and then some of this in Rutherford County. You see at the top of your screen, you're watching us in Rutherford County saying, I'm still under a warning. Well, they haven't quite taken it off yet. It's right there along the Cleveland County line, but I can tell you the threat lies primarily across Cleveland County. They just haven't carved that box back yet. So turn on the winds and Live Super Doppler 4. Right now, we've got most of this activity just east of you there in Rutherford County. Very likely we have a tornado right there that has touched down a couple of different times out of Cleveland County heading up toward the north and east. So watching this closely, and we're also watching what could happen later on this afternoon and evening, and watching Gaffney, Blacksburg. This area is still showing that hook right in there as it pushes up toward the north and east. So this warning in Cherokee County goes until 5:30 for Gaffney, Blacksburg. You need to be seeking shelter right now. A new storm track here puts it from Gaffney, points east into Draytonville, into Blacksburg right here for this active warning until about 5:30. This storm track would put it in these communities within the next 15 or 20 minutes. So Blacksburg, you're right in the path of this, as well as Draytonville within 5 minutes or so. Cherokee Falls at 5:08, Blacksburg at about 5:16, and then again Blacksburg Elementary School, a fresh storm track will put it in there at about 5:16 as well. So this part of the environment that we're watching right here, as it continues to show that this strong low pressure back toward the west, that's providing the wind energy in the atmosphere. That gets the storms to begin to rotate. We've got the tropical air mass both from the Atlantic and the Gulf of Mexico funneling up this humidity into the atmosphere, and that's giving us the possibility that these could begin to rotate at any point. So getting word here that the National Weather Service will continue this tornado warning for Cherokee County until 5:30. It's located very near Gaffney, in between Gaffney and Draytonville, right in that line right there, and some strong winds coming through. Get a new sweep of the radar right there. Looks like it moved just east of Gaffney. Now it's approaching the I-85 corridor and heading toward Blacksburg right there. So right there is where that rotation would be, east of Gaffney, approaching the I-85 corridor, and moving through within the next few moments right there with this strong wind right there, moving on through Blacksburg. This is pushing up toward Earl, Kings Mountain, into the Highway 74 corridor there in North Carolina, in the same area that possibly saw some rotation just a few moments ago there in Blacksburg, points northbound into Cleveland County. This area primed up. We've got more sunshine that have gone through the clouds right there in this area that's kind of a little bit more untouched than the substantial steady rain. Now, if you're watching us in Anderson and Greenville, you're not out of the woods for severe weather today either. It's these areas that are really more concerned about for flash flooding. In fact, we've had 3 to 5 inches of rain. Folks, if you don't have to drive in this activity, just get to where you're going this evening and just stay put. We're getting active flooding in Greenville County, in Anderson County, in Pickens County, Transylvania County. These areas still seeing a tremendous amount of rain, and watching these rotating thunderstorms. This one in particular here has had a history of touching down and lifting back up. Started across the Rutherford County, Cleveland County line east of Ellenboro, and it's touched down a couple of times, and unfortunately looks like it's done some damage in western Cleveland County. It sits right there approaching the I-40 corridor, and very likely a tornado on the ground there. Just outside of our viewing area, that's Charlotte's viewing area. What is in our viewing area is this cell in Cherokee County that still is showing some signs of rotation, and though it's not off the charts right now, just kind of screaming out at us, this point with these cells and what we saw with Monday is they can be moderately rotating in the mid-layers parts of the atmosphere, probably a wall cloud or a funnel cloud in there, and then a couple of scans later you'll see that wrap up and intensify very quickly, and that's what will happen in these type situations. It's called cycling. They cycle up, they cycle back down. This tornado warning for Cherokee County into Cleveland County, and again, it's a new warning. This is not the same one from earlier that moved into Cleveland County. It's a separate storm that's rotating. It goes until 5:30, and there's some pretty pronounced hail there along the I-85 corridor east of Gaffney. The stormy part of the storm, the possible rotating part of it's down toward the south right here, as that hook is down toward the south right there, pushing up toward the state line in Cherokee County, just north of the beach there in downtown Gaffney, pushing at about 30 miles per hour into that direction. Also watching areas south of there. This is an area and an atmosphere that these storms can begin to rotate, and we identified this one just before it began to rotate as one that we need to watch out for. And these in Abbeville and Greenwood County, we've got a severe thunderstorm just south of Abbeville, so let's take a surveillance of that because we've got just substantial heavy rainfall in Greenville. But this activity toward the south producing very strong winds. That's going to push into you areas of Greenwood and Abbeville County. Not to say that we're going to get a tornado out of this by any means, but this is some very strong wind that's going to push into Abbeville, areas of McCormick, Troy, Abbeville at about 524, and then Promised Land at about 528. So southern Greenwood County, 515, 530, it's going to be approaching you. That's some very strong wind with it. And as we take a look at the velocities out of that, wind the bigger concern. Not seeing as much rotation out of this, but we need to watch it closely because this is an environment and an area that's not seeing as much steady rain that could begin to see some of that rotation. So we need to watch it closely. 50, 60 mile per hour winds out of this activity as it pushes out of parts of the Augusta I-20 area, and it very quickly heads toward Abbeville and Greenwood. So taking a surveillance on live Super Doppler 4 of all the storms around us that could begin to rotate. That's what we do here, watching it in Lounsville, Abbeville. Nothing kind of screaming off the charts at us right now. What I'm seeing here that I do not like, that I am concerned about, is just how much rain we are getting and the training, the consistent rain after rain after rain. And Griffin, we're watching these areas of Greenville County and Anderson County. These areas have had 3 to 5 inches in just about 2 hours time frame. That's too much rain for these roads to handle.
Oh, no question. I mean, all the video that we've gotten in from earlier today on South Pleasantburg, just ponding on the roadways. This is not a time that you want to be out in the roadways, and I understand it's 5 in the afternoon. A lot of people are about to leave work. All of these places where we have flash flood warnings in effect, avoid driving if you can help it. We've got tons of just torrential heavy rain as far as the eye can see on the radar. Obviously, we have the most dangerous threat from this storm up in Cherokee County with the tornado warning currently in effect. But you don't have to be under a tornado warning for the situation to be life-threatening. We've got downtown Greenville, we've got Malden, Simpsonville, all of Greenville County currently under a flash flood warning. Avoid driving if you can help it. But if you do have to be on the roadway, turn around, don't drown. There's plenty of flooding that's already in progress across our area. This is not a time that you want to be out driving. And that's not just in Greenville County. That includes Anderson County as well. Just like Chris was saying, it's just been round after round after round of heavy rain that we've seen here. So let's pause the radar and I'll show you exactly what these rainfall totals look like. They're still going up in parts of southern Greenville and eastern Anderson County. Everywhere that you see in red east of Anderson, that is potentially upwards of 4 inches of rain all through here, right exactly at the halfway point between Anderson and Princeton. That's where we've seen the most rain fall. You see at the top of the screen last 20 24 hours. All of this has fallen within the past 2 or 3 hours that we've seen a lot of this just torrentially heavy rain. So again, let's go back to Super Doppler 4 here. We've got another big batch of heavy rain that's moving into downtown Greenville right now. It's the afternoon rush. I know that a lot of people are out driving right now. It's not a time that you want to be out driving. Now, let's go back to that Cherokee County storm. We've got a tornado warning in effect for Cherokee County, and that extends up into Cleveland County. That is until 5:30 p.m. And here's the good news. Everybody who's watching us in Gaffney, you're still under a tornado warning, but the most dangerous part of the storm is moving away from you now. It's tracking up to the northeast, and the rain is starting to subside a little bit in downtown Gaffney. There's the latest scan of Super Doppler 4 that we just got. So there is still an imminent threat for a possible tornado just south of Blacksburg. Blacksburg Elementary School, we were showing you that on the storm track a moment ago. Stay sheltered. If you're in Blacksburg, don't come out from your shelters just yet. Good news is for Gaffney, this particular storm is moving away from you. I think we can go ahead and give you an all clear in Gaffney, even though you're still technically under the warning. The storm itself is moving away from you, and that's that most dangerous part of the storm right there, just south of Blacksburg. So again, if you're in Blacksburg, stay sheltered. If you're anywhere in the far eastern part of Gaffney, kind of towards Smyrna, stay sheltered as well. Switching back to the velocity mode here, we've got a ton of strong winds in this. So let's get a point query on exactly how strong some of these winds are. You know, 54 miles per hour. That's a tornado or not. That's enough to knock down trees, knock down power lines. Doesn't have to be a tornado to cause damage, of course. So Blacksburg, stay put for at least the next 10 minutes until we can give you an all clear. Chris?
Yeah, Griffin, thanks for that report. Getting some pictures and some video in the newsroom that we're working to get on air for you here in just a moment of the situation there in Cherokee County. So far, we've not had damage reports, but we got some pictures of some funnel clouds we're going to show you to just kind of help illustrate what we're seeing out of these low-top supercells that are moving through. A pronounced hail core just northwest of Blacksburg here, and the potential that this storm is still rotating near Cashin Crossroads, just north of Draytonville. We've been talking about you for a while. Like Griffin said, you're in the clear here for Gaffney and Draytonville, but points northeastbound Blacksburg, you're right there in the thick of it, and this is continuing to rotate. I want to show you this picture here from the Freightliner in Gaffney as we've had that funnel cloud, and this is the scene here that we've seen time and time again here across Cherokee County of this trying to touch down. No reports at the moment of this causing damage, but very similar scenes like this across the foothills of North Carolina and in Cherokee County. And this is this funnel cloud trying to touch down. Back to live Super Doppler 4, that cell has since moved on up toward Cherokee County. We've got a separate cell that is rotating right here, and very possible that this is a tornado here across parts of Cherokee County. Blacksburg south toward Cashin Crossroads, we've got this rotation near Highway 5, Highway 198. Right in here is where this is beginning to rotate, and it's pushing along the I-85 corridor. So folks, if you have travels to take you along I-85, don't do it. Just do not get in the car right now and go on I-85. It is not safe right now northeast of Cherokee, or Gaffney, I should say, heading towards Charlotte. There is some rotation right here, and you saw that picture near the Freightliner. Boy, oh boy, we've got some rotation in these areas. So Blacksburg near Whitaker Mountain Road, there's McKee Drive, all areas that could be in the path of a tornado on the ground right now. A live Super Doppler 4 HD gives us that instant look at where we could see that rotation. It's pushing toward the north. There's I-85. Not a good place to be right now. We could see this potential tornado cross over the interstate any minute now and then head toward the state line. There's Tribal Road, there's Mulberry Road, and there is the I-85 exit that gets you into North Carolina near Grover right there. So please seek shelter there along Highway 29 and I-85. That's a good intersection right there that would indicate to us where that is going. And there's a pronounced hail core out of that. Indicates to us that the storm is strong, very strong in fact, and there's enough strength to it that allows that storm to grow in height. And once it does grow in height, it taps into that wind energy in the upper parts of the atmosphere where we could get some rotation in that area. Need to watch that very closely here because these storms have had a history of giving us, as you saw there in that picture, some funnel clouds, and it's actually given us some reports of damage back toward Cleveland County out of any number of these 3 tornado warnings that we've had on the board today. And not to say that this won't be the only one. We've got this concern here. National Weather Service trimming up here what we've been telling you. Gaffney, you're in the clear. clear right now. You can come out of your safe place. I know in situations like this, especially when you have kids, dogs piled in the safe place of your home, you don't want to be in there very long. It's oftentimes a small closet underneath stairs, best place to be. We want to tell you when you can come out. In Gaffney, you can come on out. But points northeastbound on I-85 near Blacksburg, this is when you need to be in your safe spot. Blacksburg right there. And those of you watching us in Greenville, I know you're hearing us talk about tornadoes and you're hearing lots of thunder around you right now. I can understand that causes you some storm anxiety. Getting some signatures here that look a little bit more interesting here across Blacksburg. Of course, there's a very pronounced hail core, and as our Doppler beam scans up into that, it's probably getting a little bit of that hail core, but nonetheless, we could have a little bit of damage report there with a signature there northwest of Blacksburg. Let's see where that locates with our Doppler. Yeah, that's that hail core right there, but nonetheless, we've got some strong winds, some hail, and the potential that this is a rotating thunderstorm right in here near Blacksburg right here. Well, let's take a look at what's going on toward Abbeville and parts of Greenwood County. This is not the only storm in town. We've got multiple heavy rounds of rain, and any one of these, to be honest with you, could present some strong winds. But this one right here, you see the squiggly nature to it. That's kind of a non-meteorological term, but you get the picture here. Anytime you see squiggles or kind of an S shape in storms like this, in a situation like this, it kind of grabs your attention, and that tells us that the winds are behaving a little bit suspect, and we need to watch it closely, because as this heads towards you folks in southern Greenwood County, Abbeville County, nonetheless, we've got 50, 60 mile per hour winds out of this pushing up toward the north. So a fresh storm track on this activity from Mount Carmel, points east toward Parksville, heading into Greenwood County. It'll be in Uptown and Abbeville here within the next, say, 30 minutes or so. So Uptown Greenwood, it put it in there at about 5:41. Here we are at about 5:15. Coronacre at about 5:50. Troy and Bradley within the next 5 to 10 minutes. So approaching southern Greenwood and Abbeville County, some very strong winds out of this. And this is not the only cell we're watching. Scooting up toward Greenville County, you've got torrential rain right now. And downtown Greenville looking point south. Let's check out our Woodruff Road Skycam if we can, guys, upstairs. I know it'll take you a moment to get it up, but let's look at that. Look at the rain. I mean, it is just coming down hard and heavy. Hilton Greenville Skycam in Greenville showing that as well. We've got just pouring rain across the area. Visibility goes down very low at times, so if you're getting off work trying to head home, please, easy as you go. Don't be traveling fast in these type storms, because it is coming down hard and heavy. Live Super Doppler 4 shows on our Skycams what we're seeing right now is this very heavy rainfall and even heavier downpours moving toward Greenville. Right now, that's all that it is heavy rain. But let's turn on our velocity here and just kind of take a surveillance. That's basically our way of x-raying the storms across the area. There are areas and pockets of higher winds, but I'm not seeing anything that jumps off the table to me right now that's rotating in these areas. Could they? Yes. We're watching it closely as this whole band moves on through the area. But the more vulnerable areas to that would be on the outskirts, where we have seen these areas not be as touched by the consistent heavy rainfall. And that's what's happening right now in Gaffney. Points eastbound through Blacksburg, where there's an active tornado warning until 5:30. And this thing looks like it's wrapping up a little bit here, which would mean it's a little bit more intense. And Griffin, right there near Blacksburg, that's, yeah, pretty pronounced inflow notch right there. And this is pushing toward the state line right there. Let's turn our velocity. In Blacksburg, it looks like we could be getting some signatures here that I just don't like the look of. This is intensifying and could be a tornado trying to touch down right here north of Blacksburg, heading toward the state line near Grover and Earl. Let's look at our debris field, see if we're getting debris out of this, and watching it closer there. That is a pretty big flare up. It's right there near our hill core too, so we're going to need to watch that. We could have a tornado trying to touch down here north of Blacksburg right there. And that same area, our hail core is north of there now, so well-defined hook. I mean, that thing is really kicking up right there across Blacksburg northbound. That hook is kind of wrapped up. Let's put a loop on this for just a moment, Griffin. We can kind of see the progression of this as it passed along Highway 29 up toward the north and east. This thing kind of intensified here in just the past 2-3 minutes. I got to tell you, the last few scans that have come in, this thing is turned into that C shape. You see how it turned from kind of a blob to more of a C shape right there. Yeah, that hook is really wrapping up. It's possible that a tornado is on the ground in Blacksburg pushing up toward the north. That warning for Cherokee County goes until 5:30. Let's get in closer here and show you some towns and some streets that could be in the path of this tornado. Live Super Doppler 4 gives us that instant look at where we're seeing the rotation. No delay on this, so this lets us see where there could be active rotation near White Farm Road, and honestly, right there on I-85, there could be a tornado crossing over it right now. Live Super Doppler 4 giving us that instant look at it as it pushes up toward the north, toward the state line there, just north of Blacksburg.
Chris, it's likely to be rain wrapped.
You're right.
You've got
You would not see that.
East of that.
All around it. Yeah, rain all around that right there, and it's kind of surrounding that. So this area, Highway 5 northeast of Blacksburg, right there, very possible there's a tornado on the ground right here. And our debris signature is kind of in that same area, telling us that, yes, we're picking up on something reflecting back toward the radar site off I-85 that indicates to us that there could be some rotation right there. And then that also is where our hook is, right there. That's possibly where the tornado is, north of Blacksburg along I-85. And then the debris is kind of in that same location as well, which tells us that there could be some damage right here being lofted back up into the clouds. So we need to watch this along Highway 5 north of Blacksburg. A storm track on this leaving Blacksburg, pushing up toward the north right here where this hook is. This is a pronounced hook. Could be a tornado right here in Cleveland County and Cherokee County, pushing up toward the north and northern parts of Blacksburg right there. Over the next 15-20 minutes, it'd be near New Buffalo Church, Bethlehem Temple at about 5:24. This is a strong storm with a pronounced hail core moving into Cherokee County, and that hook on the southern side of it, like Griffin said, it's rain wrapped. It's just surrounded right there. Need to watch this closely, and really anywhere on this outer edge of the heavier, steadier rain, that area a lot more vulnerable to what we would say could be rotation in these areas. Near Cash and Crossroads, points northbound, you've seen your warnings, your phones go off, and it's very possible that a tornado is on the ground right now near Blacksburg, crossing over the state line any moment now into Cleveland County. Grover, Mid-Pine, Kings Mountain. It's very possible that a new warning gets issued for Cleveland County because this area has had now 3 separate cells move into your communities that could show signs of some rotation. Very large hail here across southern Cherokee, or I should say southern Cleveland County, leaving Cherokee County as this pushes on through Blacksburg right there. You're right now under the gun for some of the strongest storms as it rolls on through this area. And Gaffney points eastbound, you're seeing that storm off toward the north. And this is one of many that we're watching, that hook right there in parts of Cherokee County. There are additional storms and additional flood concerns across the area because this is one of many that are really just plaguing our area. Look at Greenville Point southbound through Anderson. We've got this. Now, I want to watch these storms here across Lawrence, Anderson eastbound, southern Greenville County, Abbeville County, and then especially this entering Greenwood County. What you don't see here across Greenwood and Abbeville is rain. That's because this area is untouched by rain right now. You're a little bit more vulnerable to these spin-ups because you're in an area that's a little bit more primed up. It's a little bit more unstable than the consistent, steady rain that's ongoing right now. Let's look at this storm back up toward Gaffney because I get another look at that hail core. Boy, that's some big hail right there moving into Cleveland County, right along the state line there in Cherokee County. That pink reflecting back to our radar indicating large hail. In addition to heavy rain, yes, but that's a hail core for sure. And right there is where that potential tornado would be, north of Blacksburg right there. That velocity indicates to us still that that rotation is right in that location near Blacksburg, pushing up toward the north and east. So please be seeking shelter right now. It's very possible that there's a tornado on the ground in Blacksburg and Cherokee County, moving toward the north at about 30 miles per hour. Highway 5, I-85, White Farm Road, Holly Ridge Road, Tribal Road. Need to watch that closely there near Buffalo Creek Road and Kimbrell Road. There's that hail core. Farther south is where that potential tornado is, right in there near Jones Street. Highway 29 and basically right along the I-85 corridor, pushing quickly up toward the north and east. So right there, that could be the tornado on the ground as it crosses into northern Cherokee County right there. It is just coming down. Heavy rain all across the area. We can hear it in our studios right now in Greenville. You're watching us in these areas saying, okay, what about our tornado concern? Well, right now the primary concern sits over Cherokee County where we've got an active tornado warning until 5:30. Watching it, we've seen pictures come into our studios here of funnel clouds. So we're getting verification that these storms are trying to touch down, and right now this cell in Blacksburg does look the most concerning here as you got that rotation, the winds going away from our radar, which sits off of I-85 toward the south, and this green, the important part, indicating that the wind is going back toward the radar, and we're getting that rotation in this area. So this is pushing up toward the north and east, and very possibly a tornado on the ground north of Blacksburg right there. And our debris field from time to time has shown that reflectivity back in this area, indicates to us that it could be picking up on tree limbs, leaves, any kind of damage that it could be picking up along the way as it moves up toward the north. So right there near Blacksburg, pushing up toward the north, a well-defined hook right here on reflectivity. That's our radar showing us the rain. And with the technology that we have, we can see which way the raindrops are blowing around. Are they in a circle? Are they going fast? And that helps tell us if there's possibly a tornado. But it gives us that instant look. And that instant look is so important because we can tell you town by town, minute by minute, where this activity is. But you're watching us in Cherokee County. Look at that lightning. Griffin, there's several hundred lightning strikes in just the past few moments.
Yeah, easily. It's we haven't gotten a chance to admire how much lightning is with these storms. These are really powerful storms. We've got dew points in the low 70s. You've got a lot of untapped moisture down at the surface, and that makes the updrafts that much stronger. And whenever you have updrafts that are this strong, in this case, you get a lot of lightning. You get a lot of hail that develops in the upper end of the storm. So let's see exactly how many strikes this is. I mean, just within that southern half of Cherokee County alone, you've got 50 lightning strikes just in 15 minutes. Just really incredible how strong this storm is. Now, here's the latest scan of Super Doppler 4. We just got that, and it is right on what looks like the county line between, or really the state line between Cherokee County, South Carolina, and Cleveland County, North Carolina. That's where that most dangerous part of the storm is located. And then we switch over to velocity. Now, the good news is it's not quite as well defined as it was a couple of scans ago. And then you switch over to reflectivity. I mean, that's been the most pronounced signature that we've seen, and you can't find the hook. I think what's happening here is you've had another shower that's popped up just east of where that supercell was located, and it's kind of disrupting the structure of where you saw that rotation. So it's a little bit of a messier look here, but that's good because that means that the tornado threat may be subsiding a little bit. And again, this is exiting Cherokee County, and now the rain is starting to lighten up a little bit in Blacksburg. We'd like to see that, the threat appears to be subsiding a little bit in parts of Cherokee County near Blacksburg. And if you zoom out, here's what this paints a pretty good picture for us, that this Cherokee County storm is out alone by itself. That's why it's got that tornado threat with it. It's really unlikely that you're going to have much of a tornado threat where you've got this big mess of downpours here, but out alone by itself, you've got stronger thunderstorms because there's more of an untapped atmosphere out towards Gaffney. And I think that's probably going to be the case with some of the areas that haven't picked up quite as much rain further south down towards Abbeville and Greenwood. So again, that Cherokee County storm now crossing over into North Carolina, into Cleveland County. And good news for folks in Blacksburg, threat appears to be subsiding a little bit for you guys up north.
Yeah, getting reports of inch-sized hail there in Blacksburg. I want to take you back to this picture near the Freightliner in Gaffney. Boy, oh boy, that's a funnel cloud trying to touch down right there. And we've seen reports of multiple reports of this out of Cherokee County into Cleveland County, North Carolina. And again, it's the outskirts of that heavy rainfall. We'll show you on live Super Doppler 4 right now that are vulnerable to this. That was taken right there out of that storm in Gaffney that now sits up toward the northern parts of Cleveland County. So there's been 3 cells right here that have been tornadic across the area this afternoon. And this one that continues for parts of Cherokee County, almost primarily out of our area. We'll probably see an update in just a few moments that will take Cherokee County out, which would give our area at least a breather for a moment as far as active tornado concerns. But I want you to know in Blacksburg points northbound, that cell was very strong. It appears to now be crossing the state line, and the worst of it appears to be over Grover and out of Gaffney and just about outside of Blacksburg right there. But you did have inch-sized hail between Buffalo and parts of Blacksburg right there. So watching it very closely here, the outskirts of this heavy swath of rain. We just need to kind of take a surveillance of that area here from basically eastern Spartanburg County. It looks like we do have a warning now that it was just issued for Greenwood and Abbeville County and Lawrence County farther south. Of that cell that we were watching that was leaving the I-20 corridor, an active tornado warning out of this activity points south. This would be Cokesbury. This would be farther south of Greenwood County, and this is pushing up toward the north. This is a rotating thunderstorm, as we mentioned earlier. New tornado warning here. This one for Lawrence, Greenwood, Abbeville County. Goes until 6:15 right here. Need to watch this activity closely as it pushes up toward the north and east. And this warning includes downtown Lawrence, Waterloo, uptown Greenwood, Abbeville, and just south of Greenville County. So Greenville County, you're not included in this. but Abbeville and Greenwood County, we're watching this line right here that does indicate to us that it's rotating, okay? We've been watching that along the I-20 corridor. It's now pushing up toward the north. Let's put a storm track on this activity across Greenwood and Abbeville counties. It pushes up toward Lawrence County. We want you to be seeking shelter right now. Stay put. Do not be traveling in this. Stay where you're at in this line as it pushes on through the area here. Cokesbury 536, Greenwood 536, Cokesbury at 545, Waterloo at 555, and then Lawrence at about 610. This area showing us some signs of some rotation. Let's turn on our velocity product right here. We can see inside this line, basically our way of x-raying this, and it does appear that this line has segments in it that are trying to extend out ahead of one another. So right now our wind's going away from our radar site in southern Abbeville County, but in Greenwood County they're going toward our radar. Anytime you see the red and the green meet, that indicates to us that there's a potential tornado on the ground. So please seek shelter just east of Abbeville, just west of Bradley, basically right along the Abbeville-Greenwood County lines. Let's put a storm track on this rotation right here, right there along the county line as it pushes up toward the north very quickly here at about 30 miles per hour. So Long Cane School, Miller's Mill at about 546, Blakedale at 552, and then Greenwood High School at about 6 o'clock. So 554 to 6 o'clock approaching uptown Greenwood and Greenwood High School as it continues toward the north and east. Live Super Doppler 4 indicating that this line right here has a segment in it that's trying to extend out ahead of it. That rotation right here in this area along the Abbeville-Greenwood County line, and it is rotating and it is moving toward the north and east at about 30 miles per hour.
Got a bit of a rear inflow jet there too. Yeah. That, you know, really strong straight line wind threat too.
No doubt, no doubt. Some strong winds. Let's take a surveillance of those wind speeds, kind of see where they're at with the both our base velocity and our, that's some very strong wind heading towards southern Greenwood, southern Abbeville County. We got 50, 60, maybe even 70 mile per hour winds in these areas of Greenwood and Abbeville County, just south of you, just north of you folks in Troy. This is heading toward uptown Greenwood, Cokesbury, Abbeville, pushing up toward the north right there. Lake Greenwood, the northern part of the lake, you need to be seeking shelter right now. This tornado warning does include you, and this goes until 6:15 here for Lawrence, Greenwood, Abbeville County, pushing up toward the north. And again, it's that outskirts of the more pronounced swath of rain right here, flooding a major concern in these areas. But on the outer edge of this line is where we're getting our rotation, a little bit more vulnerable to that activity as it pushes on through the area. So our velocity products telling us we've got a couple of areas here to watch that are leaving Cherokee County. You're almost in the clear right there, but farther south is where we have that new warning that was issued for Greenwood County, and it does include the southern Abbeville County, most of Lawrence northbound into Lawrence County, and it's because of this rotation right there and that strong wind that's basically pushing right along the Abbeville-Greenwood County line. This goes until 6:15. So please seek shelter in western Greenwood County, eastern Abbeville County, and heading toward
The National Weather Service in Greenville-Spartanburg has issued a tornado warning for western Lawrence County in upstate South Carolina, eastern Abbeville County in upstate South Carolina, western Greenwood County in upstate South Carolina, until 6:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Capable of producing a tornado was located 6 miles southeast of Abbeville, moving north at 45 miles per hour. Hazard, tornado. Source, radar indicated rotation. Impact, flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Storm will be near Greenwood, Hodges, and Cokesbury around 5:40 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Where Shoals and Shoals Junction around 5:50 p.m. Eastern Daylight. Lawrence and Gray Court around 6:10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Other locations impacted by this and Promised Land. Take cover now. Move to a basement or an interior room on the low. you are outdoors, in a mobile home, or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. Weather service by calling toll-free 1-800-267-8101 or by posting on our Facebook. Your message should describe the event and the specific location where it occurred.
Signature here to me, but embedded in that line could be some tornadic activity. The winds out of this, as Griffin pulls this up, just really screaming out to us of being 50, 60 miles per hour, heading toward uptown Greenwood, heading toward Cokesbury. Bradley, it was rocking and rolling over you right now. And again, not to discount the lightning threat. Of course, you hear that. It doesn't define a severe thunderstorm, but there is certainly a lot of lightning in and around this cell as it rolls on through the area here. Got multiple reports of funnel clouds in the foothills of North Carolina, and that just shows you what we're seeing out of this activity as it pushes toward the north. But this is a very rain-wrapped area. You would not see this tornado come at you if there is one on the ground near Promised Land. It's heading toward Cokesbury. Need you to be in your safe place in uptown Greenwood. If you're on the southern side of the lake, you're unimpacted by this current rotation. However, not to say you can't see that activity, so be on alert. This is really uptown Greenwood, western Greenwood County, southeastern Abbeville County, and then much of western Lawrence County, including downtown Lawrence. Let's pull up our Lawrence skycam if we can, Griffin, to kind of show you what's going on right now across Lawrence County as this pushes off toward the south. This is our eye looking south, and again, you're not going to see really much of this as it moves on through the area. If there's an embedded tornado in this, it would be rain wrapped, and that's what's so dangerous about these type environments is before you know it, it's on top of you there. So there's downtown Lawrence looking south into this storm. It's just a big storm to you right now, but embedded in this rain, and heavy rain at that, is the possibility of a spin-up tornado in this near Abbeville and Greenwood, pushing very quickly along the county line right there is where that rotation has been the strongest. Let's take a look at our velocity product and kind of show you where that is right now. That's showing us our straight line winds, and that's a threat as well as we look at that. But there is some degree of rotation right here. The red would indicate the wind's going away from the radar, and the green going toward the radar right there. So again, right along the Abbeville, Greenwood County lines where we've got that potential rotation just east of downtown Abbeville, just west of Greenwood in these areas. We've got that potential that this area is rotating. So Highway 72, uptown Greenwood, and then along Highway 25 heading toward Greenville. Greenville, you're not included in this warning. Looks like it's going to skirt just south of you as of right now, but we need to keep an eye on this because this is a narrow path as it rolls up toward the north and east at about 30 miles per hour. So we'll pull out just a bit and show you Greenville, Spartanburg. You've got very heavy rainfall all around you, and honestly, that's my biggest concern right now from Anderson to Greenville. You have had several inches of rain. This area indicating the tornado threat, this area the active flash flood warnings. Turn around. Do not drive through any kind of standing water. That can be the most dangerous thing in these type situations, and unfortunately the most people that have to be rescued in flood situations put themselves in this situation. They try to drive through a road that they think may be only 6 inches deep, but you don't know what's underneath that road. It could be washed out. This area along the Abbeville, Anderson, Greenville County line has had now over 5 inches of rain. 5+ inches from basically eastern Anderson County, Belton Honeypath, up through parts of Greenville County, western parts of Simpsonville. We're talking 3 to 5 inches now at this point. Look at that, 5.8 inches there near Belton and Honeypath. That is a lot of rain. And folks, the map says 24 hours. Most of this has fallen in the past 2 hours, okay? A lot of rain in a short period of time, flooding a major concern right now across parts of the upstate, in addition to this tornado threat that we have across Greenwood County. Abbeville, Greenwood County, this pushing up toward the north. Let's give you a fresh storm track right here across Abbeville, Greenwood, let you know when it's going to get into your parts of the northern part of the box, because hey, you see your county at the top of the screen on that crawl, you know that there is a dangerous situation. And right now the latest timing would put this in Greenwood at about 5:39, Waterloo at about 5:56, Madden's at about 6:04, and then downtown Lawrence at about 6:09. That's why this warning goes until 6:15 here, for the possibility that this strong wind that is rotating, possibly giving us an embedded tornado in this line, is moving quickly toward the north at about 30 miles per hour. The good news for you folks in Cherokee County, the warning you were under just moments ago, has since expired, and this is all part of a powerful low pressure system that has continued to give us wind energy in the atmosphere here. And getting word here across parts of Cherokee County near Blacksburg, we've got some damage, a tree on a mobile home there in Blacksburg, so this has produced some strong winds, and in addition to that, the possibility that we've got some embedded tornadoes, all thanks to this low pressure system providing the wind energy. We're tapping into plenty of Atlantic and Gulf moisture right now. It is extremely humid when you step out the door. It feels almost tropical in nature. And when we get in these environments, you get these storms that can give you a touchdown of a tornado, lift back up, and then touch back down again. And that's what we've seen a couple of times this afternoon. But there is an active tornado warning. You're watching us right now in Greenwood, Abbeville County, Lawrence County. We've got this possible rotating thunderstorm moving towards you right now. Look at the lightning. Very, very electrical storms. We've got a lot of friction in the atmosphere. Think about whenever you're scooting your feet across the floor on a dry winter day and you touch a doorknob. Well, similar to that, we've got a lot of updraft in the atmosphere, a lot of energy going up and down. And when you get those particles in the atmosphere to kind of create friction, they give us a lot of electricity and lightning. And that's why these are very electrical thunderstorms right now. And the cell that's in Greenwood and Abbeville County, anytime there's an S shape to that, indicates to us that it could possibly be rotating. And we've been watching that side of the storm right here. But Griffin, we've seen multiple reports here out of Blacksburg, out of Gaffney, they're the Freightliner, all over Cleveland County of funnel clouds, wall clouds, and unfortunately it looks like we did get some signatures back just north of Shelby of a tornado on the ground there. That's why we got to watch this one closely.
Yeah, a lot of what we base a lot of these warnings off of is radar indication, but we've had visual confirmation, as you've seen with these pictures that we've seen from up in Cherokee County of a funnel cloud near the Freightliner depot there, up near Gaffney. These storms are serious business. There's no question about it. And again, the threat persists now for that Cherokee County storm, which is now exited over into Cleveland County. Okay, so this is over in the Charlotte TV market now. You've got a couple more showers that are bubbling up over Gaffney now. At this point, though, for those of you watching us in Cherokee County, those are not severe. We'll obviously keep an eye on them, but for the moment, we do not have any further severe storms in Gaffney. So all clear from that dangerous storm, which is now crossed over into Cleveland County for you folks up near Gaffney. Now, the tornado warning continues for parts of Greenwood, parts of Abbeville, and parts of Lawrence County. So that's for this line that we have down here. It's a little bit harder to peg exactly where that most likely area of rotation is going to be, because when you have a bow echo like this, you can have vortices that pop up really quickly. You can have one that pops up on this side of the line for 5 minutes, then another one that pops up on the other side of the line. So I think that's why the Weather Service extended this warning out so far in advance. So Lawrence is on the fringe of the tornado warning, which again is in effect until 6:15, and that's a lot of lead time. It's still about half an hour away from you if you're watching us in Lawrence. So you got plenty of time to prepare. You've got a little while before it actually gets to you. This section of the line is moving northeast at 45 miles per hour, and it's moving into downtown Greenwood right now. So the worst of the straight line winds and the heavy rain are moving into Greenwood right now. Back towards Abbeville, the worst part of the storm is actually ahead of you now. You're now on the back side of this thing. So you're technically still under the tornado warning. Stay indoors for a little bit longer. But for everybody who's between Greenwood and Lawrence, you're in the path of this thing. So let's pause and go back down to some of those locations town by town. Cokesbury, it's coming up on you next. And at the moment, it looks like just a big wash of heavy rain on Super Doppler 4 with the reflectivity on. If we switch over to velocity, let's see if we can see any areas of rotation here. Now, we're a little bit far away from the radar site. Now, the radar is located at GSP Airport, and when you get this far away from it, a lot of the time the data gets a little bit more pixelated, and if there is any area of rotation, it's probably going to look not as well defined out towards Greenwood and Abbeville counties. So it's a little bit hard to decipher if there is any rotation here, but regardless, there's a straight line wind threat. No question about it, because you've got a bowing segment here, and it's not oriented in the typical way you know, when you think of a cold front and a squall line, you think of it coming straight from the west. This is kind of coming from the south-southwest. So it's pushing up to the north-northeast like that, but it's not moving, you know, like your typical squall line where it's west to east. This is coming out of the south-southwest. So if you think of it like this, there's your line there. And when that line initially passes through, that's where the winds are going to be at their strongest, on the order of 50 to 60 miles per hour. And again, tornado or not, that's enough to knock down trees, to knock down power lines. So stay indoors, move to an interior room. That's the biggest thing you can do, is put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So the rain is coming down really hard in Greenwood right now, and same near places like Blakedale and just south of Cokesbury. That's where that most dangerous part of the storm is. And again, it's possible that anywhere within that line you could get little vortices that spin up. At the moment, it's a little bit hard to decipher whether that's happening, but there's a chance that that could happen. So take this storm seriously, especially for folks between Greenwood and Lawrence, like Cokesbury, Waterloo, places like that. Stay indoors and wait for the storm to clear the area. Chris?
Thank you, Griffin. Yeah, just checked in with our folks in the newsroom. Getting reports here from Blacksburg. It's probably our second or third of a tree on a car. This would be located near Blacksburg Highway and Blackwell Road. Again, Blacksburg Highway and Blackwell Road. We've had strong winds and possible some spin-ups of some tornadoes there in Blacksburg, east of Gaffney right now. And I tell you that because we've had a history of these cells on the outskirts of the heaviest rain producing rotation, and we're getting damage reports to come in behind those. So Cokesbury, Greenwood, you need to be seeking shelter right now. It's not the most comfortable place to be on a Thursday afternoon or evening at 5:41. I know. Make it inviting for the kids. Bring some tablets, some books to read, their favorite loveys, their favorite stuffed animals, okay? You want to kind of make it inviting for them. This can be a scary situation. Your phones are blaring off. You got our TV turned up as loud as you can be watching WYFF4, right? That's the thing to do, okay? Teaches them that as serious situations unfold like this, and we could have a tornado in Greenwood or Abbeville County heading toward Lawrence County, you need to take it seriously there, right there along Cokesbury. And again, this is approaching the Highway 25 corridor, leaving Greenwood up through Cokesbury. And it doesn't include Greenville County, but it's right there on the outskirts of it. This tornado warning goes until 6:15 right here. And we'll put a storm track on this because whether this is a tornado embedded in here or not, we have very strong winds, 50, 60, even close to 70 miles per hour possible in this area as it pushes up toward the north and east, heading toward Cokesbury, heading toward Lawrence. This area, Cokesbury 544, basically any minute now. It's where it's at right now. Waterloo at 555, Lawrence at 608, and then Tylersville at 619. So again, we need to watch this unfold because we've seen these cycle up and down. Let's take a surveillance of the velocity inside this storm. Basically our way of x-raying what's going on, and it's messy, okay? There's some strong winds in here, and when you see the mixed greens and reds, that indicates that there's a part of this segment of line that's trying to outrun another part of it. And anytime you get those, they're kind of chasing each other, and you can get a quick spin up, okay? It's, you know, one of those situations where you get a brief touchdown of a tornado versus what we saw in Gaffney up toward the north where it's a single cell kind of off by itself. Those can be more long track or stronger. This would be a quick touchdown, lift back up, and then not touchdown again for 20, 30 miles. Nonetheless, latest radar return here gives us the indication that we've got some strong winds pushing into Cokesbury, Coroneka. That's where it's at right now. This is a feisty line approaching the lake right now. Okay, there's Lake Greenwood, and putting a big picture look at this, the rain just continues to come down in buckets across Greenville County, Anderson County, Pickens, all these areas under a flood advisory or warning. We've got this low back toward the west, and look at the peppered in tornado warnings all around this. Plenty of wind energy. Anytime you have the atmosphere just racing right here just above our heads, these thunderstorms that form and they grow up into intensity, they tap into that wind energy and then begin to rotate. And that's where we sit right now. The outskirts of this main swath of heavy rain, most vulnerable to the rotation, most vulnerable to a tornado. And that's what we've seen from time and time again. I want to get back to that picture if we can here from the Freightliner, just to kind of show you what we've seen around town in Gaffney, as we've seen time and time again the possibility of a rotation or a funnel cloud. cloud there. And that Freightliner picture near Gaffney has proven to us that what we're seeing on live Super Doppler 4 does show us that there is some rotation in this atmosphere. Very strong winds approaching the lake right now, pushing into Lawrence, into Clinton, Cross Hill, Enoree. You've got some very heavy rainfall and some very strong winds. This now looks like it's crossing out of Greenwood County into Lawrence County. At least the most strong part of the storm is right over Cokesbury. You see this line kind of squiggling up toward the Abbeville County line, and kind of that tri-area right there of Greenville, Abbeville, Greenwood, Lawrence area. This is where the strongest part of it is. As Griffin does another storm track on it, gives us a fresh look at where it's going town by town. 552 in Waterloo, Madden's at 602, Lawrence at 606, and then Tylersville at 616. So the power of live Super Doppler 4 is it gives us that instant look at where these storms are located, and we don't get that delay. So we are able to see right then and there where we could have the possibility of some damaging winds. And Griffin shows us a skycam right there. There's that storm
approaching. That's a shelf cloud that you see right there.
No doubt, indicating a strong wind threat coming into Lawrence. This camera we're going to watch very closely here, because whether it's a tornado or a strong wind, it's coming right toward this camera right here. And that is a shelf cloud right there, which is indicative and usually accompanied by very strong winds right there. So anybody in Lawrence, downtown or surrounding Lawrence, we looked at that camera from downtown looking south. That's that storm right there, and that's that shelf cloud. Boy, oh boy, that's some strong wind heading toward uptown Lawrence, Cokesbury, Cross Hill. Let's get in a closer storm track in here, kind of give you some points of interest here in southern Lawrence, because boy, that's some strong wind. Waterloo, Cold Point, Ecom, right there along the county line of Lawrence and Greenwood. Very, very strong winds heading toward Eagles Harbor Drive, Ligdon Road, Andrews Chapel Road, Crow Road, right there along 246. That's where the wind is the strongest right now, 50, 60, maybe even up to 70 miles per hour. That is a strong signature of some very strong winds right there. Stony Point, the outskirts of Lake Greenwood, Waterloo right there. The Lawrence County, Greenwood County line, that's where this is going right now, and that's where we have the strongest winds near Highway 254 pushing up toward the north. The flood threat, let's touch on that for a second, because we just looked outside. We're getting calls into the newsroom, one after another, of flooded roads. Folks, this is a very busy time of rush hour right now, 5:45 or so. We need to watch that closely, because this area of Greenville and Anderson County has had 5 to 6 inches of rain. The map says 24 hours, but I can tell you this has come down in the past 2 hours. We've had 2 hours of rain that have totaled close to 5 to 6 inches of rain in a short period of time. A general rule of thumb is 4 inches in 24 hours will give you flooding. We've had that in 2 hours. So please do not drive through any standing water, Stone Avenue, just typical trouble spots of Greenville that can flood in an afternoon thunderstorm in the summertime, much less something like this where we're getting a month's worth of rain in one evening. So I want to touch on the flood threat, because that can take lives just like stormy weather can, and tornadoes. Please do not be driving through any of that activity. Active flood warnings right now from Anderson to Greenville, stretching up to Henderson County. The problem in Henderson County lies right along Highway 64. And the problem here is more rain is coming in. It's funneling in from the south. We've got the active alerts that Griffin puts on here, and it's the wind and the tornado threat on the outskirts, primarily the flood threat in the interior parts of Greenville County and Anderson County. But right now we have an active tornado warning that includes Greenwood, Abbeville, and Lawrence County. But I got to tell you, the primary threat right now is from the strong wind that is pushing out of uptown Greenwood. Boy, it was rocking and rolling just a moment ago in Greenwood, and that arm, so to speak, is lifting north, just like that. So Lawrence, you're under that tornado warning. You need to seek shelter right now. We've got very strong wind coming your way. This goes until 6:15 for this warning. Just south of you folks in Princeton, Cokesbury, you're about to see some very strong wind. And let's peek at that Lawrence Skycam again, Griffin, because that has indicated to us what we're seeing on live Super Doppler 4 HD is some wind threat, and that shelf cloud, yep, getting closer to downtown Lawrence. Our Skycam looks due south out of Lawrence toward Greenwood County, and this is a pronounced shelf cloud and usually is accompanied by very strong wind. And we need to watch this closely, because as we look at live Super Doppler 4 HD, there's Lawrence. That's what we're looking at as it moves on through. There is still a degree of rotation in this. The latest rotation is about 10 miles north of Greenwood. There's Greenwood, north of Greenwood. Right there is where there still lies some rotation. It's about 4 miles west of Waterloo. All right, this rotation moving toward the north now at 40 miles per hour. So we're seeing an uptick, an increase in forward speed right there. So again, folks, we got a multi-threat event going on right now, from flash flooding to tornadoes to wind. And I need you to be seeking shelter here from Cokesbury to Coronacre there in Greenwood into Lawrence County, because this is coming through quickly and it's a feisty line moving on through. This line right here indicates to us some very strong wind pushing toward Ware Shoals, Waterloo, downtown Lawrence, and then eventually up toward the north into Spartanburg, Union, and Cherokee counties yet again. Like you need more storms here in Cherokee County. You've been under the gun twice today already. So Ware Shoals to Cokesbury to Coronacre, putting a loop on this. This is a very pronounced wind signature to us. We've started tracking it in southern Abbeville, Greenwood County, honestly back toward the I-20 corridor, watching it lift north, and boy, did it start to ramp up here. And we've got that wind that's the main threat in these areas of Princeton, southbound toward Cokesbury into Greenwood. And Greenwood, you're almost out of the most immediate threat, as the main threat lies across the Lawrence-Greenwood County line as it pushes up toward the north right here. Let's give you two storm tracks here. One that's kind of a big picture, gives you an idea of where the rest of this tornado warning box will go and the time frames you can expect it in your town. That's the power of Storm Tracker and Live Super Doppler 4. It gives us that instant look and then times it out, what time it can be in your neck of the woods. So where that rotation lies 10 miles north of Greenwood will be in Cold Point at 5:56. Downtown Lawrence now just a tick earlier. Okay, it's picking up forward speed just a bit. So just after 6 o'clock in Lawrence, Goodwin's Crossroad at 6:10, Tylersville at 6:13. So there's a storm track right there. Let's zoom in a little bit and kind of hit some points of interest, some hospitals, some churches that you might be familiar with in southern Lawrence County, because right there along the lake in Lawrence County, it is rocking and rolling right now. We've got some very strong winds near Mount Gallagher, Ecom, Cold Point, down 221 toward Waterloo. Closer in right here, Smyrna Baptist Church, 551. Waterloo at 552. Cold Point at 558. And then the Rocky Springs Baptist Church at 601, right there in Lawrence County. So please seek shelter in these areas, whether it's a radar-indicated tornado with possibly that rotation or just some strong winds. We need to watch it closely, because nonetheless, very strong winds, very heavy rainfall heading toward downtown Lawrence. And our skycam there in Lawrence has continued to indicate, and it's positioned in a very strategic spot to look south toward Greenwood, and it's knocking on the door right there. Any minute now, we'll start to see things really get a lot different here across Lawrence County. A calm before the storm, if you will, in downtown Lawrence before this moves on through it. A pronounced shelf cloud right here. And embedded in this cloud could be that rotation that we're watching here across Waterloo. Anytime you see kind of a part of the storm outrunning another part of the storm, can indicate to us that there's a little bit of rotation trying to happen in this general area right here. It's nothing, it's a little bit different than the storm that we had in Cherokee County in the fact that this is embedded in a line. The one in Cherokee County was an isolated supercell off by itself. It was discrete, as we call it. It was alone by itself, and watching it closely as it moved on through those areas. So Waterloo, you're under a tornado warning until 6:15. This does include downtown Lawrence, and again, watching it closely in southern Greenville County. It looks like the worst of this is going to go just south of downtown Greenwood, but if there is a redrawn box, so to speak, if this warning does continue, whether it be severe thunderstorm or tornado, downstream from this would put it in southern Spartanburg County by about 6:15, 6:30. So we need to watch that closely in those areas, as this area is still producing some rotation and very strong wind from Princeton to Cokesbury to uptown Greenwood to Cross Hill, and it's heading toward downtown Lawrence right there. And this area has seen rain today. It's just kind of an untapped area. It's got an area that's had a little bit more breaks with the sunshine from time to time, warmed you up, and as you see these storms roll through, they're working with just a little bit more of an ingredient here to give us the potential for some strong storms. But we're keeping an eye on that Lawrence skycam there, Griffin, because from time to time it has shown us a mean-looking shelf cloud that could produce some strong winds with it.
Yeah, it's quite a view that we're seeing from that Lawrence skycam. I mean, that's like Chris said, we're looking due south right at where this is coming from, and it's a rare occasion where that happens. Like I mentioned earlier, most of the time you get squall lines that go west to east. This is going from south to north, so you've got a pretty well-defined shelf cloud here. And whenever that happens, it's sort of that bowing segment where you've got really strong downdrafts in the storm. So with the rain rain shaft that comes down, you can get 50, 60 mile per hour winds easy. Now, it's a little bit of a different situation than the storm in Cherokee County, okay? So that Cherokee County storm, that was an isolated supercell. This is a little bit different in that it's a squall line, and the reason that we have this tornado warning is that anywhere within that line, if you get little kinks that develop in the line, those can rotate into a tornado fairly quickly. It's more of a scenario where there's a chance we could have a tornado down, but that can touch and go. You know, those can lift up and go back down in a matter of seconds. So that's why the tornado threat may not be as well defined, but the main message here is that you need to be indoors. It's still a very powerful storm, tornado or not. So let's zoom in a little bit closer on where those strongest winds are located right now. Looks like the worst part of the storm is past Cokesbury. So you've got these deep reds here showing that torrential rainfall, which has just been a common theme. We've seen it all day long today. All of these downpours that we've seen have seen rainfall rates on the order of 1.5 to 2 inches per hour in some occasions. But if you're in Waterloo right now, it's coming up on you right now. So you don't even have to look at the velocity. Whenever you see that tight of a gradient of the reflectivity right here, that is a telltale sign that the winds are really strong with this storm, again on the order of 50 to 60 miles per hour. So if you're in Waterloo, stay indoors for at least the next 10 to 20 minutes waiting on this storm to pass. If you're in Coronacre further south or Cokesbury, worst part of the storm is now behind you. That's the good news for places further south. Same for Greenwood. Looks like the rain is starting to lighten up a little bit in Greenwood. So I would anticipate the Weather Service would trim most of Greenwood County out of the warning. As Chris mentioned, now the storm is now entering Lawrence County as it lifts up to the northeast at around 40 miles per hour. So again, Lawrence, it's coming up on you now, and we've got an ETA on it at around 6:07, 6:08, okay? So it's about 10 to 12 minutes away from you. And I know this may feel like a long-winded event if you're watching us in Lawrence, because this warning was issued about 25 minutes ago. You had about 40, or when it actually gets to you, you'll have about 45 minutes of lead time in total. That's just because of the nature of the squall line, okay? So it's not a supercell, it's a squall line. So we have to err on the side of caution and say that anywhere within that line, we could get some vortices that develop. So just to err on the side of caution, Lawrence, stay sheltered, stay indoors for at least the next 15 to 20 minutes until we get an all clear from this tornado warning. So let's zoom in a little bit closer on those streets that are passing overhead. Okay, looks like we just got a clean scan of Super Doppler 4, and that tight gradient is still there. Okay, so you've still got those greens going to reds really quickly, so really fast. You've got a tight gradient happening here right on top of Highway 221. It's raining like cats and dogs right now in Waterloo, just torrential downpours. And then as this pushes up to the north, we should get a really good view of this from that Lawrence skycam as this storm comes in. So Chris, Lawrence, you know, this is a storm you want to take seriously, because there is a tornado threat there. It's a little bit different from that Cherokee County storm, but still a lot of winds packed into this particular storm. So we've got the message across for Lawrence. Still not in the clear yet. Stay sheltered. One more look at the flood threat that's happening now, because the flood threat covers a much larger area. So if you look at the active flood alerts that are in our area right now, you've got one for Macon County, northern Oconee, eastern Jackson, southern Haywood, Transylvania, Henderson County, all of these places under a flash flood warning, and into the upstate, Greenville County, Anderson, and parts of Abbeville County. All of these places have seen upwards of 2 inches of rain today. So main message here for all of these areas that are under that flash flood warning, it's not a night you want to be out driving. We have a lot of ponding on roadways, poor drainage areas, those low-lying areas almost certainly have standing water on the roads. So just stay at home. It's going to be raining for at least the next 2 to 3 hours as more of these waves of tropical downpours come through. But again, the most imminent threat for severe weather remains in Lawrence County as this squall line pushes up to the north. Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Griffin. Great update. We've got the double-pronged threat here. We've got the flood threat. We've also got the rotation and that strong wind that's pushing out of Greenwood County into Lawrence County. And boy, oh boy, this is a strong signature of some wind that is moving toward Lawrence right now. Downtown Lawrence, and then early heads up southern Spartanburg County, Enoree, Pauline, southern Spartanburg. That's moving towards you as well, whether it be tornadic in nature or strong winds. We've got that moving on through, and there's some signatures in here that indicate that possibly some parts of this segment are trying to outrun other parts of it. And a fresh look at our skycam here from Lawrence shows that that storm is getting very close to you, and it is going to be coming down hard and heavy shortly here across Lawrence County here in the next 20 minutes or so. Downtown Lawrence, Cokesbury, you're coming out of the worst of it, but tornado warning continues here at 6 o'clock as we're at the top of the hour for Lawrence County. If you're just now joining us, you've been watching, you've been working, and you're just now watching us, we've had a day of tornado warnings in the eastern part of the area. Cherokee County, Rutherford County. We've got reports of some damage in Blacksburg with some trees down. And now the action lies across Lawrence County, where this wind is whipping right now. It is coming at you in Lawrence, Enoree, south of Fountain Inn right there. And still some degree of rotation near Waterloo. Watching this closely here, but pockets of very strong winds out of this line, this arm, so to speak, as it kind of lifts north. And coming from the due south toward the north right here, still some rotation near Waterloo is where that location is right now along 221, pushing right up 221 toward downtown Lawrence. And that indicates to us that that's where that rotation is the strongest right here. So please seek shelter, get to the most interior part of your home, your business in Lawrence and Waterloo. This is pushing toward the north. The flood threat is really high right now. We've had rescues, we've had cars had to be pulled out of ditches and flooding locations, and the Reedy is absolutely roaring right now. We've had 5+ inches of rain from downtown Greenville stretching down toward the Abbeville County line. The yellow here would indicate 2 to 3 inches of rain. The orange gets above 3 inches. Anytime you get that much rain in an urban area where all the concrete is, they just can't officially get rid of all that water so quickly. So this amount of rain in a short period of time, 3.9 inches in Malden, Simpsonville. These areas just can't handle that much rain. A general rule of thumb is 4 inches in 24 hours will get you flooding. Well, we've had that in about 2 hours. So please do not drive through any standing water. We've got reports of flooding all around town. Can't stress that enough. You really want to be seeking shelter in those areas, and just hold tight. Just do not be driving if you can avoid it, really, because there's some flooded roads all across Greenville, Anderson County. But the primary threat with the wind and the tornado threat lies across Lawrence and Greenwood County, where live Super Doppler 4 is on the case. It gives us that instant look with no delay at where these storms are located. And that outer arm right here is pushing up toward the north very quickly. So from Cross Hill to Ware Shoals to Princeton, pushing north, this is a tornadic cell that is producing some very strong winds, whether it's rotating in a circular fashion or just straight line winds. Either way, a potent storm is heading toward Lawrence right now. So please seek shelter. Take note of the trees around your house. If you live in the woods or you live near a bunch of trees, is there a side of your house that has less trees on it? Go to that side. Okay, you want to take note of that. Any kind of trees that look a little suspect, maybe they're a little bit older, have been not producing as much leaves this spring as we've seen the leaf out. You want to avoid that side of the house, okay? It's best just to avoid that because this is coming from the south, so if there's a downed tree, it's going to come like that from the south to the north. So take note of what's in the southern side of your property as these winds are rolling on through 221 heading toward Lawrence. A fresh storm track here would put this activity approaching Lawrence really within the next few minutes. You need to be seeking shelter, getting to an interior part of your home right here. This arm, this heavy wind maker is moving toward these areas like Barksdale at 606, Lawrence at 612, Enoree at 621, and then Hobbyville at about 625, all packing with some very strong winds, some heavy rainfall, and a lot of cloud to ground lightning in these areas right here as this pushes up toward the north and east. The lightning is certainly a portion of this as well. You hear that, and that can certainly frighten the kiddos, right? And the adults. Lightning is nothing to play around with, and this is a very electrical storm, which is indicative of a strong storm. The more updrafts and downdrafts you have, and the stronger they are, the more friction you get inside of a thunderstorm, and much like static electricity, you can get those storms that really begin to rotate in these areas. So Princeton to Lawrence to Enoree, we've got this activity that is really packing a punch as it rolls on through. Let's take a live look at our Lawrence skycam, if we will, and we'll show you what that looks like right now as this is pushing up toward the north. Yep, approaching downtown right now as we speak in these areas here. We're going to be watching this closely because this area is really packing a punch here. And I want to check something here as we're looking at these skycams across the area, because as we look at them, I want to be able to see a live look. Here is a live look at Lawrence, and it's getting darker there. That's one thing you're going to notice here, as I just put it in RM12 there for the folks upstairs. We've got a live look at our Lawrence skycam. It's going to start to look a lot different here in the next few moments as we're seeing this storm kind of bear down. Notice it's a little bit calm here. That's kind of the calm before the storm. There's Lawrence. It's right there on you. I mean, it is bearing down on you within the next few minutes. That skycam will look a lot different. We place these skycams in strategic areas to be able to see the area, and as we look from our Spartanburg skycam, you kind of can maybe have a broader look downstream at this activity, because due south of our Wofford skycam is that storm off in the distance. So I want you to know that as this ripples on through the area, we could have more of this activity head into southern Spartanburg County. Gusty winds and the possibility here of an embedded tornado in some of this activity. So it's something that our team takes very seriously. Griffin, Sydney, Perella, we love what we do, and our goal at the end of the day is to keep you safe in situations like this when we have active flooding or active flash flooding or severe winds or even tornadic activity. We want to pinpoint that to you using our tools like Live Super Doppler 4, which gives us those instant looks at where the wind is the strongest, and now it's approaching downtown Lawrence. The rotation does not look as strong as it once was, which is certainly good news with the tornadic regard, but this is some strong wind pushing into Lawrence right here along Highway 76, 221, pushing into downtown Lawrence right there. Enoree, you're next in the path of this, the 385 corridor. Of course, there's the Walmart distribution center right there off of 385. Gray Court seeing some heavy rainfall, and there's Simpsonville. This is all just south of you. Very strong winds and possibly an embedded tornado in some of this activity as we're watching it closely. Live Super Doppler 4 is in the alert mode. Anytime you see that red icon, you only see it a handful of times a year. It's hurricanes, it's tornadoes, and it's snowstorms, okay? Anytime you see that red icon, it means dangerous weather is either happening or about to happen. And in this case, we're concerned about a couple of things: the flooding, the wind, and the possibility of an embedded tornado in this activity there in Lawrence County as it pushes up toward the north, toward Enoree, Lawrence. Very strong winds, 40, 50, 60 miles per hour. The good news, as this moves into an area that has had quite a bit of rainfall today, it's pushing into an area that's a little bit worked over, an area that maybe just a hint more stable. So we're going to watch it closely here, but it lies right on an area that's had too much rain and an area that has had a little bit less. So it's very unstable in this area of Lawrence County, but nonetheless, this activity is pushing toward the north very quickly and could spawn up either some strong winds or some gusty winds that could begin to rotate there. Let's check in with our Lawrence skycam there on RM12 again if we can. Lawrence to Waterloo, seeing this activity push on through right there. Yep, getting a lot darker here across Lawrence County, and that rain's going to be coming down momentarily there in downtown. Active flood warnings for due west, Abbeville, Calhoun Falls, up through Anderson County. We have had rain in these areas since about 2:30 this afternoon. It is just coming down, rain cell after rain cell. I can hear it in our studios right now. And this area from Lake Succession up through Anderson County into Greenville County has had 4 to 5+ inches of rain in a matter of 2 to 3 hours. Griffin's highlighting this area right here that's had an average of about 4 inches. Yet this rain has just been coming down hard and heavy, and the creeks, the streams, they can't handle that much rain in a short period of time. You have to think of it like this: we're getting nearly a month's worth of rain in one evening. Yeah, and we've been so dry here lately other than Monday's rain. So the ground is hard, a lot of that not really absorbing as efficiently as it could, and especially in the cities where the concrete can kind of run that off, and it doesn't do so as quickly as it could. So Lawrence downtown, south toward Cross Hill, moving up toward Clinton and Joanna, the I-26 385 interchange. You've got some strong winds heading towards you shortly, and this is pushing quickly towards Spartanburg County. So I want to let you know ahead heads up there that though this storm is producing some gusty winds and some heavy rainfall in these areas, it could soon be knocking on the door there in Spartanburg County here. Let's put a storm track on this strong wind because it's moving toward Lawrence any minute now and be pushing toward Emery shortly thereafter. Watching it closely for both the wind threat and the possibility of an embedded tornado in this activity. And being Lawrence at about 6:11. So we're talking 1-2 minutes away from downtown Lawrence. Kilgore at 6:21, Emery at 6:23, and then Walnut Grove at about 6:33 here. This area continues to indicate to us that it's got some very strong winds. And looking at the reflectivity, or I should say the velocity inside this, kind of gives us an x-ray inside the storm. Still some degree of rotation right in here, kind of on the southern side of that, but it looks like the rotation not as strong as it once was, which is certainly some good news. But I don't want you to let your guard down in this storm because the wind threat with this is a very real threat, and anytime you get some of these lines to kind of outrun the other, that can give you a quick spin up. So downtown Lawrence toward Emery, toward Gray Court, just very, very heavy rainfall stretching down right here, and there's our Skycam right now over Lawrence, and you can see it is just coming down hard and heavy. Look at how different it is compared to about 2 minutes ago. The outer edge of that band now moving into downtown Lawrence, and it looks like a night sky right now. It's getting very dark out. You want to stay put there in Lawrence. Embedded in this rain could be a tornado, and the wind, it's a whipping around at this point, 40, 50, even 60 miles per hour as it now lies right in downtown Lawrence. Our Skycam looks south toward this activity as it's pushing in as we speak right now. Gray Court, Lawrence, you're seeing the crawl at the top of your screen. You're seeing a tornado warning. Yes, there is a tornado threat out of this. That threat appears to be lowering somewhat. This looks to be a very strong wind threat in addition to a flood threat. We get a lot of rain out of this band, and these have been very efficient rainmakers. We've seen it pile up rain in excess of 3, 4, 5 inches in a matter of 2 or 3 hours. Big picture right here, we've got a low pressure back toward the west that is still pumping out some strong wind energy with it, and as it does, we're getting this activity just to blossom up out ahead of us. So there's the low giving us the wind energy here, and we're getting moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, more in particular the Atlantic here. And what it's doing is feeding these thunderstorms. Almost a tropical environment that we have in place right now with a lot of extra humidity and moisture in the atmosphere. You feel it when you step out the door. It feels a little bit like July or August, right? A very unstable atmosphere here. And when you've got the wind energy, albeit far removed from our area, it's enough to get these storms as they climb in intensity to begin to rotate. The good news here is most of our area is being worked over with storm after storm. So I think our severe threat is a lot lower Greenville westbound. Not to say that we're not going to get some heavy rain or the possibility of some flooding. However, the most volatile wind or tornado threat lies across Lawrence County, and just getting some reports here of some damage near Friendship Road in Gray Court. That's in Lawrence County right here. So getting some reports of some damage there in parts of Lawrence County. But good news here, the National Weather Service is going to expire the tornado warning out of this. But like I tell you, I don't want you to let your guard down in Lawrence County. Though the tornado threat is coming down, it is still a higher wind threat. And honestly, folks, it doesn't matter if the wind is coming at you in a circular pattern or a straight line. Wind damage is wind damage, and we're getting reports of that near Gray Court of a tree, multiple trees down, in fact, near Friendship Road. Again, Friendship Road there in Lawrence County near Gray Court have reporting some damage there. And as we zoom into Gray Court right here, you can see it's right there is that band rolled on through. So yes, this band is giving us some reports of some damage there in parts of Lawrence County due to the very strong winds. So this warning will expire for the tornado side of it at 6:15. All right, so about 3 more minutes of this warning, and boy, it is just rocking and rolling right now across our Lawrence Skycam. Very heavy rainfall, some strong winds, 40, 50, 60 miles per hour, and this same cell, this same strip of cells, I should say, it has produced some damage there in Gray Court there in Lawrence County near Friendship Road, with multiple trees reported down in that area. Cherokee County near Blacksburg, a tree has fallen on a home. That report came in just a few moments ago. So we've had some of these cells produced some damage there across Lawrence County and now Cherokee County, and it's very possible we had a tornado on the ground just north of Cherokee County into Cleveland County near Shelby. Okay, it's been an active afternoon across the area here, and flooding a major component of this. If you're watching this in Greenville and in Anderson County, we need to watch this closely because the rain is just piling up. I mean, we've had too much rain, what would be too much for a couple of days worth or even a week's worth of rain. These areas have had a lot. Now, Gray Court, you just got a report of some wind damage, multiple trees down up along Friendship Road, and that would be because of those strong winds out of this cell as it pushes up toward the north. So 2 more minutes on our warning right here, and then we'll send it back to Carol and Gabrielle as we continue to have this activity push on toward the north. I want you to know that though the tornado warning is going to expire with this, it is still a potent storm. It is a strong storm that is capable of producing 40, 50, even 60-mile-per-hour winds out of it. So I want you to know that in Spartanburg County, this will likely still be a severe storm as it rolls on through. It's just not rotating, which is good news for us. It is not rotating at this point. Now, it could begin to rotate again. And as Griffin and I have been explaining to you, the outer edge of this swath of rain that is moving through the area is a little bit more vulnerable to rotation. The swath of very heavy rainfall back toward the west is a little bit more worked over, as you say, in the atmosphere. So this area has just had a tremendous amount of rain. You're seeing a little bit less orange and yellow and red, which is good news, I guess, for Greenville. We don't want to see any more rain, period, but at least the heaviest of the rain is kind of moving through Lawrence and Greenwood County. Now, pulling out just a bit, we can tell you that in parts of Georgia and in Tennessee, more rain's going to head our way throughout the evening hours, even into the overnight hours. It just won't be as volatile or as heavy as what we've had so far. This cell back toward Georgia will need to be watched for some more heavy rain. That's kind of moving toward more Oconee, Pickens, Anderson County. But the good news here, we are warning free as far as tornadoes are concerned across the area. The front itself is back toward the west, and until this can cross through, we are going to have a degree of rain, flood threats, and tornado threats. So I'm going to kind of take a closer look at the rain gauges across the area, pinpoint some of the worst flood areas, and take another look at that rotation there in Lawrence County as it heads into Spartanburg County. Ladies, we'll send it to you.
Thank you, Chris. Let's take a live look now from our Hilton Greenville Skycam. See what is going on right now outside over Greenville. It's a rain-spattered lens, that's for sure.
Oh, wow. It has been a busy afternoon, and we want to show you some video now that was taken earlier this afternoon, if we can get to that, showing you some flooding from South Pleasantburg Drive in Greenville. This is in front of the Krispy Kreme. You can see how much water is on the roads in some parts of our area.
It looks like a river there on 291, and not far from there, a truck got trapped in a sinkhole in the parking lot of Greenville Tech. That is also on Pleasantburg, so that's just a little bit up the road, and as you can see, car went right into that sinkhole.
Wow. And we also want to show you this video that was sent into our newsroom. The WYFF News 4 viewer who sent this to us says that this was taken just moments before a severe weather alarm went off at Freightliner Custom Chassis in Gaffney. So Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice has been on the air for hours now this afternoon tracking our severe weather. Chris, where do things stand now?
Yeah, I can tell you, Griffin and I are noting the fact that our area has been worked over a lot. Flooding by far our greatest threat right now. However, wind and an embedded tornado can't be ruled out moving forward. Let me show you what's going on. The cold front's back toward the west, and embedded in this is some very strong storms. Right now, the eastern half of the upstate, the most vulnerable to severe storms. I can tell you we are warning free across the area for the moment. Let's hope that continues, but this is a feisty line from basically Simpsonville crossing into Lawrence County and then moving toward the north. So heads up Union, Spartanburg, and Cherokee County. You're in the path of what's going to be some very heavy rainfall, some gusty winds, and possibly an embedded rotating thunderstorm. We've seen this line try to outrun other parts of the line from time to time, and if we get that, that could happen in these areas. So Lawrence, Joanna, Clinton, you're vulnerable to that, but as we take a look at our Skycam over Lawrence, you can see, though the heavy rain was there, we're kind of seeing the heaviest or the worst of it move just north of Lawrence. So we're going to watch this closely here. We'll be back with a full update here in just a few minutes.
Thank you again, Chris. To the deadly shooting at a Texas elementary